live guest on a podcast called J is for Justice.
I think they're just hopeful that she returns no matter what. Oh my God, that's Megan's house. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then... Wait a second, you guys. We have breaking news. All of a sudden in the chat, there was breaking news that there was a raid going on in Houston, Texas. It may be connected to a high-profile case.
That's her best friend. She would not be there.
Okay, here we go. Hey, everybody. How are we this Saturday night? Hey, Dre. Oh, let me unmute Dre. There we go. Hey, Dre.
Hey, Jay. Hey, chat.
How are you guys? I see.
Saturday.
Yes, Saturday. I see Dave is wrenching in chat tonight.
Oh, he's got a blue wrench. Watch out.
I know. Look out. Dave is on troll patrol. He is. He is on troll patrol.
Troll patrol.
What's up, Casey?
That
is a tongue twister. Okay, so I already see some.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Romad's in chat. Hi, Romad. Wow, thanks for coming in, Romad. All right, so before we get started, I want to thank everybody for joining the live stream tonight. We haven't done this in a little bit. The information I want to talk about this video, the information that I'll be showing you guys tonight contains reenactments of Chris Watts' initial confession. The reenactments are backed up in the video by injuries that are documented in the autopsy reports for Shanann, Bella, and Cece. And if you haven't seen the videos, you're going to see them. So these videos are the result of a lot of research and time by the person that made them. And I want to thank Kim for allowing me to play these tonight. You may have seen my video about this initial confession because I did kind of a little deep dive when I found this in the discovery. But like everyone else, I knew the initial confession as it was presented to us in a certain fashion. We didn't see it in its entirety.
No.
Right? What we saw was Tammy Lee asking Chris if Shanann did something to the girls, and then Chris basically asking for his dad and then admitting what happened. But what we didn't see were the details that Chris went into along with the interrogation video. I think we all watched it, but you couldn't understand part of it. It was really hard to understand. It was like mumbling, you know? So I ask that you keep an open mind if you haven't seen the video. If you have seen it, please disagree with respect. That's all I ask. This has nothing to do with AD, nothing.
No.
So the first thing that we're going to watch is the initial confession synced to the interrogation video. So I also took the audio from her video and I tried to like get rid of some background noise and stuff like that so that we could hear it better. I didn't have the time to do caption. Like I wanted to caption it, but I didn't have time to go through it all. Yep. Oh, AD simply asked to share it and was told yes. So AD must have covered this. Thanks for clearing that up, Casey. Glitter and combat boots. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Well, Dre, you haven't seen all of this in its entirety, so you're going to be watching some of this new, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a fresh pair of eyes tonight.
Yeah,
a lot of us, I think.
Yeah, and if you have seen it and it upset you, then you probably don't want to watch because I am replaying it and discussing it. So that's that. All right.
So there's that.
All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up that first video, and it's only like 4 minutes. I think it's a little over 4 minutes. So the first one's not that long.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to roll into that right now.
All right.
So let me mute us.
Was your wife on top of Cece? What did that look like? I mean, was she straddling? Okay. And where were they? On the bed. And so your wife was on top. Is it? I mean, was she? That's where I was walking up in the back. Okay. And she was on in the back. Yeah. Okay. But she was doing this. It looked like it was like this. Yeah. Okay. And then was Cece face up, face down, what? Off to the side? Oh, she was only on her side. Okay. That's not pulled her off. Okay. No, she was limp and she was blue. Okay. There's no movement at all. No. She was limp and blue or limping and blue? Limp and blue. Okay. Like her body was limp, right? You pick her arm up and she was false. Okay. And then what happened? I looked at her and I just on top of her and you on top of Shanann did the same thing. Okay. Did you have to knock her down? No. She was already on the ground. I just pulled her off on the bed. Oh, kind of warm me there. Okay. So it's not as though no, I didn't pull her off. No. Like I pulled her down. I did that. I didn't know. I lost it. Sure. Okay.
So Shanann was laying on the ground?
On the bed.
On the bed?
Yeah, like, and she was on top of you. I saw what was happening. I pulled her. Went down. I was on the bed.
Okay. I'm trying to do this whole clean. You know?
I think it's sure, it's probably a queen of some sort. Okay. I would pick for this more. Okay.
So where was the rest?
She was all the way up to the top.
To the top?
Yeah. And I went in and pulled Shanann down. It was crossways. So she was laying this way. As I was. Okay. And if you. So then, is this picture as you're standing in the doorway to go in? Is that work? And then, so were they closer to this side or this side? Cece usually sits in the middle. Okay. And then, so your wife was right on top of her. You could just see that. And then, did you pull her this way or that way? Or so it's where her head was on this side, right over here. Yeah. On the left, as you're looking at it. Okay. Did you put it fine? I lost it so much that it didn't feel like she did. Okay. Pretty strong dude. Did she yelling? Was she screaming? Was she talking? Was she scratching you? Nothing. I just felt such anger that nothing. I didn't feel anything. Okay. Alright. Like if she did, nothing's on me. Was it quick? Was it slow? Was it? So now I felt like it was over. Fast. Fast. Okay. Felt like is it possible her neck's broken? So okay. I broke her bones, so I don't know. Okay. Alright. Was it a choke like this or was it like a headlock? Choke. Okay.
Can you put your hand out like you had your hand?
Like that.
Like that. And your wife, you shot her with one hand or two hands?
I just kind of from the back. I couldn't really tell. Well, she was on top of her. The monitor's not like color, it's black and white. Well, nighttime is black and white. Okay. It's dark.
Because you went up the stairs, right, to talk to Shanann again? And then, did you think it was weird that she found the room when you left her?
So I walked in and looked around, saw the monitor, and I saw both. And so showed her she's pretty fast. And that's when I saw that.
Okay. Hang on. Let me get myself back together here. Let me unmute Dre Dre. Hang on. Let me get myself back together here. Get rid of my echo. Oh my gosh. I took my headphones off. Hold on. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of comments in chat. I prefaced this with what it was. I prefaced it asking everyone to please disagree respectfully, and I'm seeing that not happening. So if you're going to be a jerk, you're going to be timed out, and then if you're still a jerk after that, you're going to be removed because I'm not doing this. So if you couldn't understand it, you can flip to Discovery, and I will show you guys right now. And I don't know why everyone is so upset about this. This has been in the Discovery since it came out. So let's take a look here. I don't want to make you guys dizzy, so I'm going to close this until I find the right page. So if you want to go into the Discovery and read Tammy's report. She wrote a really long report. I think it's like 20, 30, maybe 30 pages. And it's a rundown of this entire conversation. So it starts on Discovery page. Let's see. 599. It's the post-test interview. And I read that in my other video. So if you want to hear me read that again, I think it's 32 pages, you can go watch that video. But you can also flip to Discovery, page 599, and you can read the entire thing. Okay? So with that being said, let's talk about this video we just watched. I think there's some things, if you watch Kim's entire video, I think that she makes a good point. When she's talking about his actions and how he's kind of, reenacting what happened with his hands. He's demonstrating. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can see here, it's Discovery page 599.
And there's, what do you say, like 32 pages?
There's like 32 pages. And she quotes Chris, and it's very, very detailed. Now, Sweet Pea Butterfly said, because he's blaming Shanann and he's lying. But why are people so resistant to going back to his initial words? That's what I don't understand.
And I mean, there's a lot to this case that we don't know. You know, we've said that thousands of times, and without a trial, most true crimers are going to literally go through a case with a fine-tooth comb and look at theories and go back to Discovery. That's why it needs to be readdressed.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because I went back and found this when I was researching for our timeline discussion. And when I found this, I had never heard these details. So I think it's important that we hear everything before coming to a conclusion.
Exactly.
And we're not looking to blame. We're not looking to place blame. We're looking for answers. We're looking for answers to what happened that night. And when you take this next video that I'm going to play of Kim's, Kim is a family friend of the Watts. That's who she is. But regardless, when you look at this second video and you look at how she's matched up the autopsy to the injuries, we've never had that. We've never had any explanations from these autopsies. Do you agree?
No. It's very cut and dry. There's really nothing breaking down. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of questions about, why wasn't there marks on any of their necks? Hyoid bone, was it broken or not? You know what I mean? Those are things you look for on an autopsy. Was there any drugs in the system? You look for the toxicology report. I mean, that tells the story of what happened to the victims.
It sure does. And we never got anything because there was no trial. We never heard the medical examiner testify to his findings. We never heard him questioned by the defense of his findings in the autopsies. So let's not, take anything out of the equation, because even if you don't believe this initial confession, there might be some things in that confession that are true.
Exactly.
So to just say, oh, I'm not going to watch it. Oh, I don't want to see this. It's like, why? Why don't you want to hear it? If you didn't know these people, why wouldn't you want to hear this perspective?
Exactly. And I like what Casey said, don't let emotion get in the way. Like, keep an open mind to everything. This is a true crime case. This is a real homicide case.
That we never got answers to.
Exactly.
So let's take in everything. And that's why we're here, to take in everything. So if that's not why you're here, don't spam the chat with negativity. Just keep it moving. It's that easy.
Exactly.
Click the
And
X,
if you don't agree, then yeah. If you don't agree, go. You know what I mean?
Right. And I'm not even saying that I think this is exactly what happened. But nonetheless, it's very, very interesting.
Well, and it could be plausible. A lot of these theories and ideas are very plausible. A lot of stuff that Dave came to the table with yesterday.
Oh,
was
Dave
very
was
plausible.
Dave was great with we had some great killer discussions, and even, the ones that didn't make the video. I do have a second video that from our discussions that I want to put out because it was a little on a different topic. So, yeah. No, Kim is not Kelly from Kelly and Kel and Mel. Kim is Kim. I don't know her personally, so I can't really give you her bio. Why were the girls put in the tanks and not with their mother in the shallow grave? That's Stella Bella's question.
That's a good question. It is interesting.
Now, I don't know what Kim's background is. I don't know who she's been in contact with. If she's been in contact with, people with forensic background. I don't know. All I know is that I saw this video and I thought it was so interesting, especially since I just revisited this like a month or two ago. So yeah, I wish we would have gotten in trial too. But, these are the next best things, are these analyzations. So the next video, hi Chrissy R. The next video is going to be the reenactments. I don't know who is in the videos, so don't ask. I don't know. But if you pay attention to the injuries, especially Shanann's neck, I mean, I take all this, I want to say this before we watch it though. I think about him, I want you to remember his actions in that video where he's showing them over and over how he pulled her off of Cece and laid her down, and how she was laying, specifically she was crossways on the bed, he's okay, bye. I don't know why everybody's making exit speeches, but okay. But anyways, he was very specific about the details of what happened very quickly. And one other thing I want to point out, Dre, before you watch it. When we watch the porch interview, we know he's fully lying, right? 100% lying in the porch interview. There's no denying it, right?
Exactly.
He's very nervous. Like. I think you, Dave, and I talked about kind of being his nervous twitch. I didn't mean to mute Shell. I'm sorry. You know what? It moved too fast.
It does that sometimes though with YouTube. It like jumps.
Sorry,
Like
Shell.
super
That
quick.
wasn't on purpose. I don't think she's misleading anyone. I think that she's asking people to open their minds, look at these details. They've never been discussed. But I'm not going to sit here and defend it all. We're going to watch it, take it in, and form our opinion. But he was very nervous in the porch interview. He said like every other word. But in that interrogation, he wasn't talking like that. And then when I played the call with Gillespie, the prison call, people were like, it's not him. It's not him. He's not saying like every other word because he's not nervous.
He's not under a microscope where 3 or 4 law enforcement, CBI and FBI are grilling his
But he
ass,
didn't really,
you know?
no, but what I'm saying is he didn't really say like a lot in the interrogation, but he did in the porch interview
Exactly.
when he was lying. So yes, salty soul, it does. Okay, well, this video is going to explain it. So let's just roll into it. But I want you guys to keep those points in mind as we watch. Now, this video is, I think, about 40 minutes long. So it's a longer video than the last one. Just so you guys are prepared. If you have to go potty or get a drink. Oh, yes. Scott Street said, don't forget the famous word inclination. I had no inclination. Okay. All right. Here we go, Dre. You ready?
I'm ready.
Why isn't it playing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
I need to warn you that some viewers may find the next video segment very disturbing. It's going to repeat a portion of Chris's confession, but we'll be adding reenactment images and videos that some may find very difficult to see. And once you do, it's nearly impossible to forget. So please stop this video now if you are sensitive to these types of things. We will also be breaking down portions of the autopsies with added images that will assist us in supporting this version of events. As hard as it may be to see, we've only put this together in hopes it will prove Chris was telling the truth when he spoke with his dad, Ronnie, as hard as that truth may be for everyone involved. I know this is a very emotional case for so many, and I'm sorry that you will have to see what you're about to see. It's heartbreaking. Please proceed with caution. Okay, let's get right into this. So this is a picture of Bella Watt's room. Chris describes as he comes upstairs and goes right into the master bedroom that he doesn't see Shanann and looks down at the baby monitor. And this is the image similar to the image that he would see. This is an exact image from their home, from their monitor taken by the police. It shows that, as Chris said, he saw Bella in her bed, on her back, and sprawled out. Now, as we go to the next picture, I do understand that the image on the top left is of Celeste Watts. However, due to the injuries on Bella, it is a very good representation of the placement of fingers that would cause this type of injury. On her buccal mucosa, there is adjacent pink and purple bruises. So in her frenulum area, it was disrupted. There was a little tear. And what that would be from is this downward pressure that you're seeing, specifically in this lower image, would be of the downward pressure of Shanann holding her nose pinched, her other hand over her mouth and having that downward force on her with her being on her back. Again, this is a detail that's so important. And that downward pressure on her face, that would allow her that side to side motion of thrashing around that has been talked about. So when Chris was downstairs in that first half of this video, he describes going downstairs shortly after, hearing some commotion, thought one of the kids got up and didn't pay any attention to it. The injuries that Bella had on her would account for the noises that he heard, because in that thrashing situation, you'd expect to hear her hands, something like that, hitting the headboard perhaps. And it's also important because Bella, when Chris went upstairs, was already passed away in her bed. So this, like I said, this picture up here is being used because that is almost identical to where the bruising injury was on Bella's upper lip. Now let's move on to Celeste. This is an image of Celeste's room. It's important that I show you this so that you understand the importance of how Chris said that he walked up the right side of the bed, because obviously at this angle you can see you can walk up the left side, or you can walk up the right side. In Celeste's room, her baby monitor camera is mounted on the top right hand corner up here, just above where this picture cuts off at, and the angle is coming down on the bed. That's a very specific detail, specifically because of the way that what Chris says he saw in the monitor. Now, here's a reenactment that the police did. Now, based upon what Chris said, this is not an accurate reenactment because he said he saw Shanann's back. Clearly, this is not a view of the back of this officer. This is a side view. So, but if this had been the view, Chris would have had a much better view of where Shanann's hands were and what that looked like. Also, if Chris had mentioned that Shanann had come up the left side of the bed and was leaning over it, you'd expect to see the top of their heads and a straight look down their bodies from that view. Now, why that's so important is because with this angle being so specific, the middle picture is what I believe that he would have seen, or something similar, is that view of her back. Now, he describes multiple times he wasn't able to see her hands, wasn't able to see exactly where they were. And this position, like he described, would account for that. And also in that first video, he leans over the table, puts his left arm up, his right hand to the side, and pushes down. That again would account for this position. When Chris also is asked about, as he's walking into the room, is he able to see her hands? This third image is going to be, a good depiction of why, because in that hunched over motion, having that left arm up, having their arm to the side, you're just not clearly able to see through to what's going on. Now, if we go to the next image, this unfortunately is my account for what I believe happened with Cece. Chris was very specific when he says that she was up towards the top of the bed, and that Celeste was laying on her left side with Shanann's arm up like that, putting pressure on the side of Celeste's head. That would push her into the mattress. Now, this is where the details of what Chris said are very important. And it would explain perfectly why there is such a drastic difference in injury when it comes to the girls' autopsies. As you can see with her forearm being up and running, being on the side of her head. And then Shanann's right hand would be covering her nose and mouth. That would also explain the difference in the lack of bruising on Celeste's upper lip. Also in both of these images, as far as being able to account for another feature or another thing in the autopsy is lack of fibers, lack of hairs. Her hand or something like this would account for that. Now, I do want to mention Bella's lungs. They were not collapsed in her account for the autopsy. Just that the functional tissue of her lung right here is talked about as being splotchy on Bella. But when we do go over to Celeste's, hers is a lot different. Hers right here, her parenchyma is which is the functional tissue of her lung is darker on Celeste, which is indicative of more trauma. And it's also talking about her having a collapsed lung. Atelectic means collapsed lung. So whether it's partial or full, they don't specifically say, but in this image of Shanann straddling, when Chris describes her straddling Celeste, her little body, the weight of Shanann on her small body would account for that lack of blood flow going from the lower part of her body to the top. That can cause a collapsed lung. Also, the weight of Shanann in this position, it's different than Bella's. And this one, there's a lot more, would be a lot more pressure on Celeste, especially her being on her side. So she's struggling to breathe, and that weight of Shanann's body, especially pregnant, pressing into her body, that would also account for that collapsed lung. Now let's move on to Shanann. Now I will say that as we move into Shanann's, hers is extremely hard to look at because we use different imagery to help explain this. Now, Chris was very specific. You saw him over and over and over again in that real time with the audio and the video being synced together, how he described in that one motion decoder, how he came up from behind Shanann, grabbed her by the shoulder, and pulled her down onto the bed. That in itself is going to explain a lot of lack of physical injury to the rest of her body. As he's pulling her down, she's on a soft surface. She's landing like that. I'll play that a few more times. I know it's so hard and disturbing for a lot of people to see, but again, he's coming up behind her, pushing her down. Now realizes this is a reenactment. We have decided to really try to mellow these things down as much as we can. In the images you'll see coming forward, we just need to be able to show you guys. I guess I say we because I'm doing this for Chris and for his family, but as far as this being my findings, my investigation, my stuff, I'm needing to show you guys, I need to show you guys what these details look like. So going into the first part of Shanann's report, let me get that pulled open. Here we go. So they talk in the evidence of injury. This is on discovery page 1003. It says a 1 centimeter area of probable bruising on the anterior subcutaneous neck tissue. I'm sorry. So what that's going to look like, actually, let me go into this one real quick. Let's get this one first. Chris says as he pulls her down, he immediately gets on top of Shanann. So as he pulls her down, realize that she is on her left side, laying on her left side. When he's talking to Agent Coder and to Tammy Lee, he's very specific on showing, and you could see him pointing down. He points to the top aspect of his phone down to the left. He describes that her head is on the left side of the foot of the bed, and her body extends to her feet on the right side. So then Chris would be getting on top of her, straddling her, and then putting his hands down on around her neck. Now, when he does this, because he is right-handed, there is going to be, in this scenario, with him being on top of her, what we would expect to find in her autopsy is the majority of the bruising, as we peel back the layers in her tissue, is going to be, if what he is saying is true, is going to be on this front aspect of her neck. Now, where that bruise is that they're accounting for in her autopsy, this probable bruising of her neck right here is actually where this thumbprint's going to be. Now, for the sake of the pictures, these are laying flat. You're going to assume that when he's got his hands around her, the fingertips are going to be more curled in, which would account for that bruise. It's going to be the thumb. That's going to have the most pressure, especially in that downward position, that force on her. So we're going to go to the next one. As we go a little deeper in her autopsy, bruising of the superior aspect. Now, let me explain something to you. If you can see this image right here, this muscle right here, where is it located? Directly under where the palm of his hand was. The sternocleidomastoid, that muscle right there, that is the outermost muscle right under your neck. That's exactly where she has this bruising at. Are you starting to see a pattern right here? Now, if we go a little bit deeper, we're going to go a little bit farther. Well, actually, let me go back right here. We're going to go a little bit farther into the neck. As we peel back the next layer of tissue, what we're going to see on the thyroid cartilage is soft bruising on the surface of the right thyroid cartilage. Now, you've probably heard a lot of talk of the when there's a fracture, that's typically along this line right here. This is a very delicate cartilage. However, this is describing that there's bruising on the surface of the right side of that tissue. Now, this is, let me put these side by side so you guys can see. As I was speaking of this first image of the bruising right here, this little line right here is exactly this little line. And like I said, you'd expect to see in a strangulation as if Shanann was on her back and Chris was straddled on top of her in a front position. You're going to see, instead of that bruise over here, one of them on the side, you'd expect to see both of them here and the majority of the bruising on this side. Or if she was flipped and on the other side, you're going to see more bruising on the back side of her neck. So this is very critical that you guys understand that exactly how he described him pulling her down to the bed, getting on top of her and squeezing the side of the neck, putting that downward force motion on there. It is showing up as we go through and walk through the evidence of her injuries. So again, the bruising there. As we go a little bit deeper, or actually, this is not a little bit deeper, but this is the bruising of the soft tissue associated with the right horn of the hyoid bone. Now, this is a typo. This is thyroid bone. They're saying it's intact, but it's actually the hyoid bone. So look at the position. Where is it located? On the right side. This bone itself is intact, but the bruising, again, is very consistent with what we were saying, that it's in that exact same location. Now, let me go down to a couple more. As I was talking, not always in a strangulation, a manual strangulation of that downward pressure when someone's on their back or whatever, and they're putting that pressure to the front, not always are you going to see that very delicate cartilage fractured or this hyoid bone broken. But I would say more oftentimes than not you are. Now, in Shanann's, specifically with her being on her left side, the hyoid bone and her thyroid cartilage are intact. So that's a very specific detail we needed to know. Now, the strap muscles. Like I said, when Chris is on top of Shanann on her left side and he has that downward motion, what we are expecting to see is that the pressure, the bruising of the anterior strap muscles, which is this front piece of the neck, is greater on the right side than the left side. And that's because as the fingers wrap around, there's just going to be less bruising. But that is a hand pattern, okay? This is the palm of his hand, and the bruising lightens as his fingers wrap around here. I hope this is making sense to you guys. I know I'm going kind of fast, but I just want to move through this to make it very simple. We will be having conversations about this going forward, but I'm just trying to move you through the aspects of the actual evidence, I guess you can say, that would prove specifically what Chris said matched with the evidence in the autopsy. I'm just trying to piece those things all together for you. Now, there is a portion in her report, evidence of injury. It says external evidence of injury, possible pattern abrasions of the neck and left aspect of the face. See below. This is on page 1003. If you go to the next page, on page 1004, the discovery, it says there is a linear array of variable sized purple, black, circular defects which extend from the inferior aspect of the chin, so right underneath of the chin, along the jawline, up the left aspect of the face towards the left temporal area. Okay, so like I said, the first bruise, that first little one is from this area right here. Now, if we rotate and move her face over, that is going to account for exactly what this says. Let me pull that one back up so I can reread it to you as I am walking you through this. Let me pull a couple of these down. Told you guys this was going to be raw. I decided to do this in like this so it can be a conversation. And hopefully this is easy for you guys to see. But again, there is a linear ray. So this motion of the linear ray right here from the way his fingers are curled. Now, again, for the sake of the pictures, these fingers are laid flat as to not cause injury, but you expect to see as that grip is on there, the tops of the fingers being pushed into the skin, which would account for the variable size purple, black, circular defects, which extend from the inferior aspect of this chin, so underneath, which is where the smaller fingers are wrapped around, towards the left temporal, along the jawline, up the left aspect of the face, towards the left temporal area. Exactly like this. Again, imagine that his fingers are curled in. For the sake of the picture, we don't want to do that, but that is exactly what her injuries are showing. Like I said, you have to think about all the things that have to go into this lining up exactly with the evidence that has been presented to us. Up until this point, there has been nothing that we have seen that's been released, that we have been shown, that the Watts have been shown. There is that misconception that before that the DA, they met with the Watts and showed them all this evidence that proved that Chris was guilty. That was a lie. It never happened. All they told the Watts was they had a theory. A theory, you guys. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. So as you can see, I mean, I'm just whizzing through these things. I'm sorry. It gets me a little bit fired up as I'm going through this. I know this is sensitive, but I'm just trying to work through this. Now let's move along. I'm going to come back and touch on Shannon in just a minute, but I've got to cover the toxicology because it's a source of contention. I know there's a lot of questions, and I'm going to do my best to give you a real answer for the results in these reports. So for Bella Watts, this is her autopsy report. This report right here I'm going over is on page 1017. This is specifically going over the toxicology right here. Right here, it describes ethanol in the opinion. So this Michael Burson, he did all three of these reports. As you're going through stuff, he is the owner of the report. So if he is finding something, if there's something that he's got a medical opinion on with a high degree of certainty that he can prove that, especially if he were to be called on the stand as a witness, he needs to be able to put things in a report that he can prove, basically, long story short. So what this says is the toxicology results likely represent decomposition and an artifact of being submerged in an oil tank for several days. Okay, let's move along to Cece's. Cece's, much the same. Her report is on page 1033. Same thing. I will come back to this part in a second, but specifically referenced in the toxicology. Her report as well in the opinion area says the toxicology results likely represent decomposition and an artifact of being submerged in an oil tank for several days. Now, I'd like to make this bigger for you guys because I know this one has not been talked about a lot. This is so important. I know you guys have heard DA Rourke get up and explain that Shanann was not drunk and the rest of his story. Let's just start here with Celeste. I believe that he decided to probably use this little area of Celeste to give a blanket explanation and decide to kind of maybe wrap Shanann in on that. Because right here in Celeste's report, it says under her ethanol, her liver tissue, it says the concentration of the ethanol increased from 99 mg to 174 mg over the course of multiple analysis. The nature of the specimen and or the container type, which may not contain preservative, may explain the variable quantitative results. Now, let me break that down. What that is saying is once they took their sample and they got it in the lab, they took an original test. Now, there is also a note of ethanol up here, 31, but I'm going to stick specifically to the C comment and what this is referencing. It says at this point that the concentration started at 99. Over the course of multiple analysis, and I'm sure as you can imagine, they're doing an autopsy, they're going to be testing that blood. Over the course of those multiple analysis, it's saying that the nature of the specimen or the container which it was being held in may not have contained the preservative. One of those two things might explain the reason why that sample numbers, they started at a certain level and they got so much higher. The sample decomposed. Let me say that one more time. The sample decomposed, whether it was because of the multiple analysis, whether it's because the container was in, whether it's because there wasn't a preservative, but the sample in their lab, in their care, that is what decomposed. So I'm not sure how many people have talked about that, but I just want to make this very, very clear as to explain again that when things are in a report, when there's something that they can explain and they need to explain, their opinion or whatever is going to be spelled out in a report such as this. Now let's move on to Shanann's Tox report. Shanann's Tox report, we're going to expect to see, based upon Bella and Cece's and the explanation for theirs, specifically since DA Rourke talked about these, the prosecution, the DA, wanted to hold out on releasing the toxicology reports. Why? Why did they want to hold all of this information? Why the prosecution? I believe that I have just showed you why, and this is going to kind of cap that off. Same person, same type of style of reporting, you'd expect to see the same opinion. However, in this report for Shanann Watts, it simply says, here's her ethanol, 128. Here's her blood alcohol concentration, her BAC of 0.128. Now, I will say this. Is there a very, very rare chance that due to the conditions, something could, whatever. I'm not even going to cover that. Let's get back into more reality. I want to say it this way, because if what DA Rourke said was true, then what would be the purpose of blood alcohol in other accidents and other situations? We use that to determine if someone is intoxicated in the act of a crime or whatever reason. I mean, if this is true, then I would expect that if we were to pull 100 autopsy reports from Nevada in the desert, that you'd expect to see that every single person ever buried in the desert would have a very substantial elevated BAC. And we'd also expect to see if there's a medical certainty, which if you refer back to that, and we will be discussing this, trust me, you guys, in more videos. If that was true, number one, when the DA asked to speak with him to come, if he had any comments, he did not comment. You want to know why? Because he's the owner of this report, and it would be on him to testify in the court of law under oath to what information he puts in his report. If we go to the opinion for Shanann, all it says is, based on the history provided and the autopsy findings, the cause of death is asphyxiation due to manual strangulation by another individual. The manner of death is homicide. Where is the explanation for her alcohol content? And in the discovery, more importantly, if DA Rourke was so sure and had a certain level of, yes, this is why this is happening, then explain to me why right after this report was released, he had to re-interview all of Shanann's friends and ask them about Shanann's alcohol consumption while they were in Arizona. Silence. Let me explain something to you. There's a reason why the DA held the report. You would think that the defense, who's got to defend against this stuff, would hold the report, not the prosecution. And okay, so let me, before I go off this other tangent, let me rope this back into Shanann. When Chris was on her side, got on top of her, a rage, he sees what's going on, he pulls her down. Remember, when you are choked from the side, that is a very, by all accounts, it's a very quick process until you pass out, okay? With Shanann's alcohol level in her body being so high, there is a high, not only possibility, but probability that her body, after Chris put his hands on her, he says it was fast, she passes out. We're talking 5 or 6 seconds, 7, 8 seconds. It's a very fast process. He releases, her body being intoxicated, her system is decompressed, meaning there's a mechanism that restarts your body. And it should restart your body, but I'm sure you guys have heard, you can do a quick search on the internet, on YouTube, of people who play that passing out game. They pass each other out, takes a couple seconds, and tragically, some people who've had alcohol or drugs in their system, their body fails to restart itself, and they accidentally die. They pass away as a result of the condition of their body. I believe, it is my opinion, that this is exactly what happened to Shanann. They say in a crime of passion, if someone wants to hurt somebody, there's typical overkill. You see an excess of injuries of all these different things. Shanann did not have that. More specifically, nothing in her reports showed any signs of her trachea having any damage. There was none. There was zero damage to her trachea. Her thyroid cartilage right here, this very small tissue, was intact. Her small hyoid bone. You ask any expert, any professional, especially in this area, they're going to tell you how delicate those two pieces are. And especially if this was a very vengeful, angry, violent situation, those two things you'd expect to have be broken or to have fractures. More importantly, external bruising, struggle. There also goes a lot into Shanann, the question about why she didn't fight back. Why are there no marks on Chris? Why didn't Shanann fight back? Why wasn't there this thrashing? Same thing or similar thing to Celeste, this pressure going down into the bed on her side by itself limits that significantly. Chris was strong. He's sitting on top of her. But more importantly, when she falls down onto that bed, what happens to her arms? They fall down. They're going to fall somewhere under, but their left arm for that part is going to be underneath of her. And her right arm, if you look at this picture right here, her right arm is tucked down under here somewhere. And if only a matter of seconds, you realize when someone passes out, you just do not have that same fight or flight mechanism in your system from having your neck squeeze and passing out that you would expect to see or you would experience when someone is on top of you, violently crushing your throat and you're struggling to breathe. That is going to take a certain amount of pressure for an extended period of time. It is horrific. And if there's a sliver of light, I keep saying we, I feel like I'm constantly speaking on behalf of Chris and his family. I can say, since this has been all done by me, put together by me, figured out by me, investigated by me, that I'm responsible for this. This is my opinion. But that is why, as she's being choked, that process of fading out is fairly quick. And she's not going to have that thrashing. And her body is not going to give off that same response that it would if she was on her back and experiencing a strangulation. So I know I've gone through this quickly. I wanted to get it out there. This is very important. We know that what you guys have seen, the way I've explained this, pieces have come together. You guys have wanted answers. I've wanted to give you guys the answers. More importantly, I've wanted to explain to you that the Watts were never given answers. A couple of things I'm going to touch on in the future. I mean, the DA, them never interviewing the Watts, even though they said they did. Cindy Watts, sibling Watts, other Watts were never interviewed by the prosecution. That is false. When Jean Powers got up in front of the court and made the statement that she had seen, or the Watts had seen this evidence, and blah, 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 I am here to tell you that never happened. The statement that she made in that courtroom was a lie. It was false. And I know that because I was the person that helped get them Jean Powers. And I'm here. I swear, you guys, we are here to be honest. We are here to be transparent. A lot has happened in this case. It is a tragedy through and through. I know that. No one deserves to die. No one on either family, no side ever could ever have imagined that this would happen. It is a tragedy. It is horrifying. It is sad, but there are so many lessons we can learn from this, so many things that need to change to ensure that things like this in all aspects, in the home aspect, in the legal aspect, never happen again. There's a lot of things that can be prevented, a lot of education that can be done, a lot of accountability to law enforcement that needs to be done. I just explained to you in what I feel is easy to follow, easy to understand. I literally whittled the whole entire, confession with Chris and Tammy Lee and now my name's drawing a blank. Maybe that's a sign. But I whittled all this down into a 5-minute segment of a recapture, and then going through the autopsy, to piece these things together, prove that what Chris said originally to his dad. Tammy Lee herself, you saw it in the other thing is that Chris's dad's his hero. If there's going to be someone that Chris is going to tell the truth to, it's going to be his father. Ronnie comes into the room. Chris immediately starts talking. I mean, it's a hard conversation, clearly, but also in that, we'll be doing our best to get those things lined up as far as audio and video. But I believe if you watch Ronnie Watts in that room, it is a very, it really shows you similar to how Chris is. Ronnie's sitting in there hearing this information, and you see him a couple times have just some comments that he says, but by and large, he's just very next. He goes home back to North Carolina and immediately goes to work. So we got to be very, very careful before, we start, especially without, need a degree to back it up, these big words that tie people's behavior to mental illness and the like. And maybe just start looking more at people plainly. Like I said, my hope in sharing this is that to give you guys answers. Now, I understand that there's a lot more questions specifically about that night. More importantly, about what has transpired since then. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, we are here to stay. This case is starting new. This is going to be a long process. We understand that. Chris is thankful to the outpouring of support that he has had. The family is as well, especially even since we started this channel, the kind comments. Please understand that with the knowledge that I've just shared with you guys, me specifically, since I'm the one bringing it to you, please, please do not turn your finger and say, I told you so. The negativity needs to stop. This is a tragedy. It's heartbreaking. The children are truly, I feel sometimes have been lost in this battle back and forth, and they are the innocent ones for sure in all this. But I do think that more conversations need to be had. We are going to be having a question and answer about this in a few weeks, so stay tuned. Same thing, we'll be clearly unveiling and discussing a lot more things. I promise you, the things you think you know about this case are not true. The media, we will go subject by subject and come with proof, with receipts on what we have to share with you guys. It will shock you. But it needs to be told. It needs to be heard. It needs to be fixed. It's going to be part of the process. And just, I thank you guys for going through this. I thank you guys for listening. I know, like I said, I know this is a lot to take in. I know that it's going to take time. And as you guys watch the videos, please, if you're too sensitive to this type of information, if it's hard to watch, please do not watch it. Have someone you know watch it, have them explain it to you. Or if you just need the confirmation that there is proof in this video that what I am saying, what I am showing you based upon Chris's account, based upon what he said that night, and the way he acted it out, the specifics of how he's saying it, and more importantly, the results of the autopsy, the evidence of the autopsy, what's in those reports. Now they say that there's still stuff redacted. Well, if this is what's supposed to prove he's guilty, then I wonder what is behind, if there is something that's behind, what would be there. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I know this has been a long wait. I know you guys have had questions. We've had questions. I've had questions, and I have spent a lot of time on this. I believe it's the first account for what's happened. I believe it's the first depiction for you guys to be able to see it with pictures, with the autopsy, with the explanation, with other images. I did want to keep it fairly, there's no way to show this stuff without having some graphicness to it, I guess. But I did want to make sure that we went through this. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. There's more to come. We appreciate you guys on all sides. Stay tuned.
Okay, we're back. Wow. Some pretty intense stuff. So
Yeah.
I watched this yesterday, so this was my second time watching it. What are your thoughts on that?
it's a lot to take in. I mean, I think
agree.
it's
It is a lot.
imperative.
It is a lot.
It is. And I think it's imperative to see different sides of what possibly could have happened. You know what I mean? It's very imperative to see visuals, to kind of see the method of
Mhm.
how this could go down, because one thing that has set with me that, I mean, granted, I'm not anywhere in the medical field, but I had to take some medical classes for billing and coding. So, and I did a cadaver lab. So it's interesting. The one thing that I found very abnormal in Shanann's, especially Shanann's autopsy, was there was nothing to the tissue or the hyoid bone. Now, you can still strangle someone and not have a fracture or a break to the hyoid bone.
Yeah, I did look that
but
up.
It's very rare. It's very,
Well, I did look that up,
very
and what
rare.
I saw was that a third of strangulations result in a fracture. 1/3.
Yes.
So 1 out of 3, there's a fracture.
There's a fracture.
Now, what stuck out to me both times was the collapsed lung in Cece.
Yes. Yes.
If
stuck out to me. Sorry, my phone. Go ahead,
I'm like,
sorry.
oh, I heard my voice. Ew. Oh my gosh,
yes, the
Shane
collapsed lung.
is in chat, and he is going to be all over this and all over me for this.
Oh, I just read his
Aw.
comment.
Thank you. I got a parfait.
Oh, look at him.
I know.
Getting you a parfait.
So nice. Yeah, he's gonna be all over this, but no, the collapsed lung. So if everybody believes the second story where they thought, oh, this is him telling the truth, this is what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would her lung have collapsed if she was simply sitting in the truck and he said he took the blanket and smothered her?
Yeah, you don't get a collapsed lung that way.
Mm-mm.
No. There has to be trauma.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love, and I did ask Kim to come on and discuss, and she declined at this point. She has some other things, I guess, going on. So I don't know her background. I don't know if she had any experts helping her. And I don't know if anybody in chat knows her or knows any of this and can either confirm or deny that. Because I don't
I'm
know.
interested.
I don't know if she did all the research herself. Did she, involve some experts in forensics to go over these results? Let me share her channel. What is it called again? Chris Watts Revelation or something?
Revelation, yeah.
Okay. I'll get the link and I'll put it in chat. Oh, thanks, Kelia.
Keely, I got it.
Go, girl. Go, girl. So I know this takes a lot of people by surprise to see, that someone's going to this length to show what happened. But I think that tells you that they wouldn't have put the time or the effort.
Yeah.
KC said she's been quiet for 2 years because she wanted to get this right and not speculate. She didn't want to speculate. She needed proof. Niece.
I think it's very noble.
It is. And I think she's very passionate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read all these comments. I just saw one I wanted to.
One comment that I keep seeing is, why would Chris confess if he didn't do it then? That was the big thing tonight in chat.
Uh-huh.
And one thing that I think, and I mean, I've never been through like hardcore trauma. I've been through a little bit of trauma, but never like what Boo went through. I've never been through that level of trauma.
Right.
I would assume if you go through something that traumatic, you black out or you forget. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I can't say this 100%, but is that night a blur for him?
Well, yeah. I mean, your body protects you from trauma. When something traumatic happens to you, or like if you get injured, You know, it's the same thing. Those receptors in your brain protect you from feeling all that pain. It kind of numbs you, right? The same thing goes for emotional trauma.
Yes.
Whether it's something you did or not, still seeing images like that are traumatized.
Exactly. Yes. And that's where I kind of think that months after the plea deal, them coming to him, he's comfortable in Dodge. He's been moved. He knows that's going to be home for him, you know.
Well,
I think when the dust settled, he still can't fully remember. Like he didn't even remember the dress that Cece was wearing.
right. I think that's part of it too, and I think that there's also a guilt factor.
Yes.
A guilt factor, like if I didn't have that affair, none of this would have happened.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, there's that level of guilt too. Like if I would have never met Nicole or Nikki and would have gotten so deep so quickly with her, this wouldn't have resulted in this. So there is that level of guilt, and you mix it in with the trauma.
Sure.
I think he was ready just to take the blame.
I mean, if you're sitting there in prison by yourself, you're only let out for 1 hour a day. You have nothing else to do. You have nothing else to think
Exactly.
about. You know?
Mhm.
Georgia Dog, he has said what? But you know what, Kilea, that's so, oh my gosh, Dre, this is so perfect. Shane Carey laughed in his interview, but never killed Heidi. Because someone had made a comment, oh, if you didn't do it or whatever, why would you be laughing?
Yeah. I mean, people handle stress differently too, you know? And I mean, I seriously, when I saw Shane's interview, I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, I'll admit I was one of the people out there that was saying, what the hell, did he do something?
Right. And I'm not even
You know?
saying this is the truth.
No.
But you know what? Anything's possible. We don't know. We don't know. And that's
Exactly.
what's so intriguing about this case. But yeah, did you notice too, like he wasn't
Like?
saying like.
No,
I don't know. That
not at all.
stands out to me for some reason.
No, that does me too. Yeah. Like I said, this was a very interesting video that she put together as far as the autopsy, and you know, to me it's imperative to see it from all sides. You know what I mean? Because like I said, if I was the family of the victims, I would want to know fully what happened to my daughter and my grandbabies. I would want to know 100%, you know, and there's those theories out there that Nicole could be involved or someone else
Right.
could be involved, you know? And so it's like, I just wish that they would have done an ethical investigation that led to a trial for those stories to be told to the families. Both sides.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Because without it, there really is no justice. I mean, you have a
No.
guy who pled guilty, but you never got, that's not justice.
No.
Justice is going through the justice system.
Exactly. And there's that level of specificity in a homicide case that you have to reach, and it's got to be credible. It's got to be told 100%. And I personally, in my heart of hearts, don't feel that this case got that.
Stella Bella says he knew his life was over, so why not take the blame? Why were the medical records sealed? Collapsed lung, maybe from asthma.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but the medical records being sealed is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
KC says the point of this is when everyone lies, including the DA, who do you believe? You know,
Right?
and that's why, like, I change every day on this case. I can change by the hour and think, like, there's no way he did it. And then the next hour, I think, God, he's a monster. I hate this case. Like, I want answers just as much as everybody else. And that's why
Yeah.
I want to look at everything. And when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is the closest thing we've come to in any analyzation of anything, really, other than
Exactly.
YouTubers giving their opinions.
Yeah. And that's what the true crime community is about. You break down a case, you do a deep dive, you go through it, you discuss theories, you know, and that's I think that's what the ethical people like the sleuths do. You know what I mean? Or the true crime aficionados, as Chris or Scott Rice calls them.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
True crime aficionados. Here's a couple comments I want to read. Crypto Catherine. I read somewhere that the medical records were sealed because of past allegations against Shanann. Has anyone heard that? And I have heard something about that. I don't know the whole story though. Have you ever heard that story?
I read something on Reddit, but I thought it was more rumor based. But after us doing our deep dive, I have my theories now.
Oh, do you want to share your theory?
I don't know. I think there's Munchausen by proxy going on.
Yeah, I've thought that too.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there were certain things wrong with the girls. I think the girls were very healthy little girls. I mean, I'm not gonna, argue about the allergies or anything, but I just think that those girls were subjected to a lot of medical stuff. Way too young.
Yeah, I think it's kind of odd how often they were at the hospital and and not only that. I mean, let's discuss that behavior specifically. Like, my kids have been to the doctor when they were younger or whatever. They've been to the hospital. They've had tonsils out and shit like that.
Yeah.
Never once did I ever take a picture of them in the hospital bed.
Oh my God.
Is that odd that I didn't? Because
no, it's not odd.
I mean, now granted, we didn't social media wasn't as huge then.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah. Riley says 48 hospital visits
in 1 year.
In 1 year.
Exactly.
And you remember too, they had all these medical bills.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of those.
Right, like a hypochondriac that kind of goes into the whole proxy thing. But then along with the Munchausen by proxy comes the attention seeking. It could be, like in the case of Gypsy Rose, her mom was all about the money. That was money motivated.
Yes.
But I don't know. I would have to say if it was a Munchausen syndrome by proxy, it would have been more for attention.
Yes, exactly.
And
than money.
Yeah, and I don't think she necessarily was trying, was a bad mom. I think she was almost over protective. Like over the top.
Mm-hmm.
She was very, very concerned about them. And I don't know, I mean, psychologists can analyze that shit, but there's reasons why parents parent the way they do. A lot of it is our upbringing. Like, what was our example? What kind of parents did we have? Did we have both parents? Were they married? Were they divorced? Was there addiction? I mean, there's so many dynamics in a family.
Exactly. Or are you the only sibling, or did you have a lot of siblings?
Yeah.
There's a lot of dynamics in a family unit.
Yes. Let's see. I'm trying to keep up. Munchausen by proxy actually make their children ill. Well, we don't really know because the medical records are sealed. So we don't really know what their illnesses are. We have no way to know. But why did the family want those sealed so badly?
Why hide it?
I don't get it. Unless there's something sketchy there,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to sound horrible saying this, but my husband and I have talked about this case many a times, and we're talking about them wanting to seal up that, but if I was a family member, I would want the picture of her vibrator sealed and the picture of her underwear and bra sealed. Like, that to me was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I wouldn't want the public looking at my deceased family member's thong.
Exactly.
With dirt all over
to me
it.
would
Yeah,
be
it's very, very personal and private.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about someone said in chat about Well, Joanne Dre just addressed that. It's no one's business, she said. I'd have my family sealed too.
Yeah.
But really, like, it's no one's business to see what she was dead in either.
Exactly. Or her vibrator, what color it was.
Her
and what
vibrator,
brand.
yeah.
That would be that. I would be so embarrassed.
I'd be mortified.
Yeah.
Seriously. And then you had YouTubers zooming in on the damn thing and analyzing it. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to talk about embarrassing.
Well, and the level of dissecting someone's life based off their vibrator and their thong color and their bra color.
Right. And
Like,
we're simply dissecting this case.
exactly.
So we're not talking about all that crap. Shanann seemed to be exasperated by the children in many of the videos. I know that raising children is difficult. She did seem a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But how much of that was really that she was overwhelmed? Because the girls were in school all day. Chris picked them up. They had dinner, showers, went to bed. So really, what was overwhelming?
Detrimental? Yeah, what was detrimental to be in that state?
See,
of mind?
I think that was part of the act. Like, oh, I'm such a busy mom and these girls are crazy. Like, you'd see her videos and like literally the girls would be sitting on the floor like, how?
Yeah.
And she's like, they're nuts, guys. Like, oh my God, I don't know how we're going to go to the zoo today because they are so crazy. And they're literally just sitting there and like Cece's playing with her shoe or something. And it's like,
and Bella's holding her baby, nurturing her baby.
yeah. And I think that is part of the Thrive cell. Like, busy mom, Thrive keeps me going. I think that was all part of the cell. I really do.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't think she was as overwhelmed as she portrayed herself to be, just for the selling aspect. Which
Exactly.
makes sense. I mean, if you're selling something that gives you energy, of course you're going to freaking talk about how busy you are and, you know, how stressful life is. And yes,
Exactly.
Jessica Salas, I have 3 kids and a granddaughter.
Well, and I do want to say, like, I know I'm reading about, well, if you had a fibromyalgia, you would understand too. And I see that point. My mom had lupus. My dad was a military man. He was in the Air Force for 26 years and he left a lot. And my mom was struggling with lupus, raising 3 little girls, and we weren't making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was struggling as a mother with lupus. But you know what I mean? She treated my dad good. My dad treated her good. You know, there's that difference. You know?
Yeah. It is work to have a family. Absolutely. But the kids were in daycare all day long. I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. 10 years with 3 kids that are like a year and a half apart. I know. I have the best granddaughter ever. Little
Oh my God.
Little Fia.
She is beautiful.
She is. But, you know, and their house was clean. Even when the investigators went in, they were like, okay.
It's immaculate.
This place is, like the one lady said, this place is like oddly clean.
Yeah. It almost didn't look lived in. It looked to me like a house that was up for sale that was staged. You know, the stagers come in, you pay for the stagers. It looked like that. It didn't even look like someone lived in it.
Mm-mm.
And it was crazy. Like, until you go near the girls' like playroom, you didn't even know kids lived there.
No, you didn't. You didn't. I never saw like toys out or anything.
Oh.
Well, everybody's mentioning the lupus, but we weren't talking about the lupus because remember she said Thrive fixed her lupus.
Yeah.
So the lupus wasn't an issue anymore because Thrive fixed that for her. It also made her fertile. It also made her fertile because she was saying with the lupus and the fibro, doctors told her she may not be able to get pregnant. But she got pregnant with Nico very quickly.
Yeah, she did.
I think Chris, how many times they did it like twice and she was pregnant?
Yep.
Yes, this is a good question. Adrienne says, Casey, the only thing that keeps pulling me back from the theory in the video is the shadow situation. I've seen a lot of people comment on that. Do you have a theory on that? Initially, I thought first confession just felt intuitively more accurate and plausible. Okay, I'm just quoting Shanann, guys. I don't think Thrive fixes anything.
I don't think Thrive works.
I think Thrive is a patch with sticky stuff on it.
Glue.
With glue, yeah.
It's glue.
Can someone delete Jessica? She's very rude.
She's very rude. Thanks, Gwen.
I don't believe the shadow theory either, so I don't think that video shows any shadows because people have zoomed in on that video. People have doctored it. They've zoomed it. They've tried to clear it. I don't see shadows in the original. If you watch the original video, I'm buying it.
No.
That shadow theory, didn't it come from AD originally?
I think you're right. I think it did. Yeah.
She did say that she didn't say she was cured, but she said that it didn't bother her anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it was manageable with her lupus. And yes, lupus is not a cancer. It's an autoimmune disorder.
Yeah, someone said it was cancer of the blood.
No.
When you have fertility issues, once you get pregnant once or twice, your body has a much easier time getting pregnant. I don't know if she used, and I don't know what she used with Bella, but her friend, Shane, armchair detective, you're correct. What was I saying?
You were talking about pregnancy, like, because somebody had made a comment about the more you get pregnant, the more.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't about that though. I'm reading everything and it's like, oh, the cure for lupus. Was that what I was talking about?
Oh, yeah, with Thrive.
It's not blood cancer, Megan.
Mm-mm.
And it's very hard to diagnose lupus.
It's very hard. My mom didn't even know she had it until her second pregnancy, and she was like 7 or 8 months pregnant with my sister Emily.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to enough doctors, someone will
eventually catch it. Eventually. And you have to do a lot of blood draws.
Because it's more or less like narrowing out everything else, right? Pretty much saying it's not this, it's not this. Then they're left with, it's got to be something like that.
Yep.
Casey says Rourke lied a lot.
Well, I have.
Candace, we're not bashing her because her home was clean. We're simply commenting on what we've seen. And what we saw was like OCD.
Yeah. I mean, girl, my house is messy, so
I wish I had some of her organization skills.
I know, me too. Did you see the one picture that she had where it was the room with all the tubs and they're like all colored and everything? I think this was before she moved into the new house that they had built. Girl, this thing was like organized to the max. This looked like the Container Store. It was so cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
her pantry, enough.
Right?
Shell and Shanann's pantries were.
Look, there she is. I love a clean and organized house.
Oh, Chris Watts' revelation is in chat. What's up, Kim? She says, I'll be breaking down the second confession too. Oh, nice. I would love the second. Oh my God. I'd love to see that broke down.
Yeah. I'm intrigued.
I'm wondering too if like with the second confession, if she's going to try to debunk it or is there some truth in that story?
Yes.
And I'm curious too, while she's here, about NK. I mean, can we finally put that shit to rest? Like, oh my gosh, I say like a lot. But if you talk to Chris, have you discussed NK and can we put that to bed? She said she's debunking the second confession. Riley says, talk to us, Kim.
I saw that one too.
We've been waiting all night. She said her next video is going to be a few weeks. And I was like, oh my God, why so long? Like, you can't do this.
We're sitting on the edge of our
3
seats
weeks
here.
is a long time in Watt's
That
time.
is a long time. Yes, no, that's a very long
In
time.
Watt's time. We got
In
like
Wattsville.
we had like the murder and then the conclusion in Watt's time. Like, that was super fast.
It was very quick. And then there was a discovery dump right on Thanksgiving, the first dump.
Yeah. Yeah, our Thanksgiving of 2018 was ruined.
It was. I'm sitting here watching a parade, and then I get on Facebook and everybody's talking about this discovery. That's how I met you. That's how I got on your channel and watched you,
I
was
know.
the discovery.
Crazy. Georgia Dog says, we love Kim. Joanne, this show is pro
Is this
true
show
crime. We just
this
talk
is
about
pro-
true crime.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to take a little poll before we sign off here.
All right.
First of all, Megan, what's she trying to achieve? I think she's trying to get the truth. She's trying to get as close to the truth as she can. But I don't want to speak for her. But let's take a poll. All right. Wait, coincidence that the first video was 2 years from the day of sentencing. Anyone notice that? Oh, that's why she put it out on that day? Or was that on purpose?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess it was
That's a good observation.
yeah. I wonder if that was on purpose. Okay, so put a 1 in chat. We're probably going to see a lot of 1s. If you think Chris is guilty. Put a 2 in chat if you think he's totally innocent. She's not. He killed his wife. So, but if you think he's totally innocent, put a 2. If you are undecided, put a 3.
I'm just going to verbally say mine. 3.
And then I'm going to do a second one.
Okay.
I know I'm undecided too. I change every damn hour.
Girl, that's me. It's like the direction of the wind is how I change with this case. You know, it moves.
Yep. Oh, guilty of killing all 3. If he's guilty of what he, of course, Georgia Dog, guilty of what? Guilty of what he pled guilty to. I see tons of 1s. Not very many that are undecided. Oh, here's a few. What was 4? Megan said 4.
Megan's got a lot more
Oh,
going
there's
on.
a lot of 3s. There is a lot of undecideds like us. It's
Day
just
26.
so crazy. Look at who had the 2 and 3 Spacebound.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, killing all 4, but I think we know that there was 4. Well, that's my next question, Salty Soul. Okay, so the next one is put a 1 in chat if you think Chris acted alone. Put a 2 in chat if you think someone assisted him.
I say 2 if
Yes, I know you do, and it
it's
kills
hard.
me, man. It kills me.
You know what Steve told me last night after we watched the live? We were talking about the base or the bathroom with the key.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Steve said?
Hmm.
He looked over and he said, what if the bathroom was used to keep the girls inside of there so the girls wouldn't come out?
Like he locked him in there?
Lock them in. Mm-hmm.
But why would he lock it on his way out?
Steve said because NK. Because he knows my NK theory. You know what I mean? He fills me with that NK theory. So he's like, if NK is involved and she was using that basement, girls are locked in the bathroom because they can't move around the house. And she gave him the key at work. It's so weird. It's girl. It's all these theories, man.
It blows my mind. Why didn't he give CPR and call 911? Well, he was asked that, and he explained that it was because Bella was already blue and sprawled out, and that when he got Shanann off Cece, she was limp. Kim said, "I'll be covering all things Chris Watts inside and out. If you have certain things you are very curious about, make a list and I'll cover it." Very cool. Dre, start making that list.
Start jotting that shit down.
Right? Why are the daycare owners' names also Chris and Shanann? That's very bizarre. What?
Daycare owners.
What daycare owners? Adrienne says, "I hate to say it, but it feels much more possible that Shanann was emotional and hormonal, possibly drinking and out of a moment of psychosis, smothered the girls to try and get back at Chris."
Interesting.
Thank you for having the courage to even
say that.
say your theory. Honestly, because I'm not going to lie. That has crossed my mind. She was very upset. She was not eating when she was in Arizona. She knew that Chris was having an affair. She was probably, almost 100% sure. And if you're going to leave me for this other woman, which I know you have another woman, even though he wouldn't admit it. And I think that pissed her off even more that he wouldn't admit it. She wanted to hear it. She wanted to hear, yes, I'm having an affair, and this is who it is. And he wouldn't tell her.
No, and I mean, you got to think that lazy dog purchase, she was on a mission when she came home that night.
And I think,
you could see it.
And I don't think it was very long after she got home.
She got home. That's always been another theory of mine, is it was.
But
yeah.
I would like to hear, and Kim, if you're still here, what I'm curious about is if his initial confession is the truth, why was her makeup smeared all over the pillowcase and the sheets from the master bedroom? Why, if nothing happened in their bed, why was her makeup all over it?
Yeah.
Gwen said she was crying. That was something I thought of too. Like, they got into the fight in the bedroom. She was crying. She was laying in the bed. The makeup got on the pillowcase. Maybe she wiped her face with the sheet. You're in this heated argument with your husband who's having an affair, and you're bawling, and you really don't give a shit what you wipe your face on. So you might wipe your face on the sheet. He says he went downstairs. It was makeup because it was glittery.
Yes.
Kim says, laying her face down when he brought her back into the room, he was furious and didn't want to see her face. Yes, she had been crying. So he carried her from Cece's room into the master bedroom, laid her on the bed, and wrapped her up. That's why it was the fitted sheet she was wrapped in, not the flat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
The flat sheet was in the garbage in the kitchen. The fitted sheet she was wrapped in. And you know what? I always thought that was odd. I'm like, if he was going to wrap her in a fucking sheet, why didn't he use the flat one? Because it seems like you can wrap something. I have a hell of a time folding those fucking fitted sheets.
Girl, I've never fold them. I just lump them up.
Right, exactly. So I was thinking, why would he grab a fitted sheet or grab the fitted sheet to wrap her in? Why wouldn't he wrap her in the flat sheet? Because I know Dave said, he had the sheets laid out on the floor. A fitted sheet laid out on the floor is like an eighth of the size of the sheet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's all bunched up. Like, you're not going to lay the fitted sheet on the floor and put a dead 150-pound body on that fitted sheet and somehow get it around her, and no way. So it was already stretched out on the bed, put her on the bed, took the corners off the fitted sheet, wrapped her up.
Yep.
That's what I think. I don't think it's because she shit herself. She may have shit herself after she was in the sheet. Last time, what? Who was Caroline Morrison?
Oh, last time it shut the shit up.
Oh,
Wow.
wait a minute. Oh, that's right. Dave said that because of the FaceTime with him and NK that I'm going off camera for a second, but that's a good point. When they FaceTimed in that 100 and but you know what?
11
Nuh-uh.
minutes.
No. Listen. FaceTimes don't show up on your phone bill.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
That
actually.
wasn't a 111-minute FaceTime.
Well, and she had a droid. She had a Verizon droid.
Didn't she have two
Yeah.
phones or no?
She had her work phone and she had a droid with Verizon.
Hold
So
up.
she wouldn't have been able to FaceTime him.
Dave says it was a 2-minute FaceTime. So they FaceTimed for 2 minutes and then talked on the phone for 111? Is that what I'm understanding? Adrienne says she didn't fight because she was horribly upset and knew she killed her kids and didn't want to live to face it anyways. And Chris Watts totally would take the blame. That's just his submissive personality. I agree with the submissive personality.
Yes. Okay, so she had one phone and Chris obviously had the two.
So they can't
But-
FaceTime on a droid.
No.
So who
not
said
yet,
they
'cause it
FaceTimed?
happened.
Where does that come from?
FaceTime and Messenger show up on iPhone. Yeah.
She didn't have an iPhone though.
No, she had a droid.
How did she where does that info come from, Dave? Discovery? Because she didn't have an iPhone, she couldn't have FaceTimed. But anyways, in this video call, she says that he was laying on the bed. She did have an iPhone 6. I remember seeing that in Discovery now.
Did she? I thought she had a droid. And he had
I
an
remember
iPhone.
I thought she did too, but I just saw that in the Discovery when I was looking. It said iPhone 6 on the evidence sheet. So after their video call, in their video call, she said that he was laying on his bed with no sheets on. And that was,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. And that was when
Mhm.
she was like, he was just staring at me. Remember? She said he wouldn't
Yes.
really talk. He was like staring.
Oh, my God. Yes.
Oh, she had an Apple Watch too? Nicole did? Nikki? The second phone was a droid. She got the droid. She gave them the iPhone first.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, not Shanann, Nicole. But another thing too. All right, if let's take it a step further. If those girls were alive and you guys believe your shadow theory that those kids walked out and went, "Daddy, pick me up. Put me in the car with Mommy who's wrapped in a sheet." Like they were all excited to leave the house. I don't think so. I think Bella would have been scared and probably hiding, honestly. And probably
Yeah.
with Cece around, with her arm around Cece. I mean, I don't think they'd run outside and be like, "Okay, pick me up." I mean, I don't know. I don't believe
doesn't
it.
make sense.
But whoever
No.
believes in that theory, the shadow theory, hang on. Dave said, yes, my idea, you can have it, Jay. Okay, so if you believe in the shadow theory, then explain to me why the girls' beds were stripped and remade.
Right? That was,
If they
yeah.
weren't killed in their beds, why did he strip the beds and wash them?
Why go through that effort?
That's what I want to know.
Wait, who's that
Really,
part of
Maggie?
imagination?
Like hide her. People are so mean. Nicole says they died in the bed. Chris said he had the girls alive in the truck in the second confession. We're talking about the first confession.
Yeah, first confession. He didn't say that.
And if they were killed, why didn't the dogs hit? Because they weren't cadaver dogs.
They were trauma. See, I agree with Dave. Was she doing housework? Man.
With what? What do you mean?
Nicole Kessinger. He said, did he? Or was it NK doing the housework?
But did he what?
Clean the sheets.
Oh.
Like clean up the house.
I was reading.
That's been a lot of theories too, that people say that NK, that's why that call hit in Frederick, is because she was in the house cleaning it.
Well, the fans were on full blast too when he
Yeah.
came home from work.
Mm-hmm.
So did he turn all those fans on before he left, or did they always have those fans on?
Yeah, that is a very good question.
That would be
But, I
a
mean, they
question
have-
for the Watts, Kim. They've been there.
Yeah.
They've stayed out there. Did they normally have... I mean, because my ceiling fans are always on. Like, always on. The one in the living room is not full blast, but it's on. But I live in Florida, so it's hot.
Yeah.
You know? And Chrissy R. says, I can honestly say I hate flying. It freaks me out. I've had a drink pregnant on the plane before. So that's another point I wanted to make. Just because she had a blood alcohol level doesn't mean she was necessarily drunk. People are like, oh, she wasn't staggering in. You don't have to be staggering to have a blood alcohol level.
No.
I mean, 0.08 is like nothing. You can have like one beer and be 0.08. And I think she was 1.2 or something was the number. That's really not... I mean, that could be 2 glasses of wine.
Exactly.
Look at M. Aspen. When are you having Dave back on? He really adds a lot of great questions. He does.
He died. There was a lot, like the luggage. That one still blows my mind. I don't know how I didn't see that part.
Somebody, okay, I was reading comments on the video from last night, and someone said that she had two suitcases. One was from South Carolina, or from the trip to North Carolina, and the second was from the Thrive trip. But I don't know if that's true.
I had read on Reddit that the North Carolina luggage was down in the basement, emptied. So when they came back from North Carolina, she didn't have a lot of time. You know what I mean? She had to throw her stuff in a suitcase and go to Arizona. But from what I read, all their stuff was emptied out, and those suitcases that she used and the kids used and Chris used were all in the basement. So she had a separate suitcase.
Because N.A. said her suitcase is at the bottom of the stairs and her shoes are by the front door.
I can see it. Yep.
And then...
we see pictures of it up in their master bedroom opened.
Yep. Unopened and then opened.
Yep.
I don't even know. I don't even know why they alcohol. I mean, other than her being pregnant and she might have had a couple drinks, I don't know where they're going with that theory. I want to know more about that theory, because 1.28 is above the legal limit, but it's not necessarily drunk, in my opinion.
No.
Especially for someone her size and her stature. Like, she wasn't teeny tiny where, you know, it would hit her like hard like that.
Nah, no.
Someone wants to know, I think it's Janice, wants to know your NK theory.
I think she's somewhat involved, some way, shape, or form.
What's
Nicole
your gut
Kessler,
tell you? Like,
yes.
what do you mean? How?
I mean, so there's two. Obviously, it's just like the how your theory is when you think he's involved, but he's not guilty. You know what I mean? So my thought process goes to, if she didn't have physical involvement, she had mental involvement. I mean, there's some sort of involvement with Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if she wasn't physically there or physically helping him or physically killed anybody, there is still that level of involvement of mentally being there. I mean, who calls a man that you're sleeping with who's married and you're using a baby voice? You know what I'm saying? I think that she was mentally breaking him down. So I do feel that she is involved some way, shape, or form.
But do you necessarily believe she was in the house?
There's times when I go through that discovery that I think she was, because of the blankets, the glove being up on the fridge. Things were thrown like in weird spots. You know what I mean? The one dog kind of freaking out in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
The bed downstairs in the basement. In one of the videos, the video where you see Nicole Atkinson with the police, and the policeman goes down the stairs by himself in the basement, and the bed's made a certain way and there's no mask down there. And then the video where you see the cadaver dogs, boom, there's a mask down there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of weird things about this case that
Hey, you know what else was weird? It just popped in my head that I saw on Discovery. That there was a lighter in Chris's truck.
Yes.
In the passenger door.
Yes.
Who was in the truck with a lighter?
A lot of people have said that they think that she was a smoker. NK.
Cigarettes or?
Mm-hmm. Well, that I don't know, but she did kind of sound like she had smoker voice.
I'm sure she smokes pot.
Wait, yeah. And it's Colorado. You know what I mean? Like,
right, but to have a lighter in the work truck, for what?
Right? Smoking that Doja.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've read that too, Joanne, that some people said that the lighter was possibly for the gas that he was bringing with him to blow up the tanks or light the tanks on fire.
Yeah. Because he did say that in the second one, right?
Yep.
But I don't think that he was going to kill himself. So, going back to NK, being in the house, I don't know. The one thing that gets me, though, see, I think she wasn't there. Like, I think she put the pressure on him, like, the night before when they had the 111-minute phone call. I really think that she was like, okay, it's me or her. Like, straight up.
Exactly. Yes. An ultimatum. Like somebody said in chat, it was almost like an ultimatum.
And I don't think he really knew what the hell to do. I mean...
No, I think he was stuck.
Yeah, he was like, all right. So my theory has been like, okay, if he says they had sex. Now, I don't know if he said that to make investigators feel like, everything was kosher with them or what. Yeah. But, gosh, chat is throwing me off because I want to answer everybody's comment.
Well, I mean, do you think that they were physically intimate that night?
I've had a theory that maybe they were, because I could see him kind of having this mindset like, let me see how I feel.
Just that.
Is this really what I want? Yeah. Like, let me see how I feel. Maybe that would be why they would have sex. And she was all about like, or if he wanted her to maybe think everything was okay. If he was maybe trying to just calm her down, make it so she thinks everything's okay. Because we know from the texts, especially the ones they shared in the Netflix, that she was all about sex equaled love.
Yeah,
She-
sex upheld.
Yeah, like, he didn't have sex with me today. Like, something's wrong. It was
Well, and
very
I will
important
say-
to her.
I do see that point. I don't think they had sex, girl. I think she was madder than a hornet coming in that house.
See, and I think that too. I think that too.
I mean, the way she picks up her little suitcase and her feet are moving all fast across that threshold of that door, you can hear the door opening up. It's like, she knew his ass was awake. She was ready to go.
Yeah, I agree with that too. See, that's why I go back and forth. There's just so
Yeah.
many different, you start talking about it and you start thinking of all these different things. And
Yeah,
and then I
start-
think, maybe they didn't have sex, but
it's hard though, because you want to look at all sides of this every scenario that comes up and what Chris has said in both confessions. You know
I
what
mean, could they have had sex and that's why her makeup was on the pillow?
right?
I mean,
It's plausible.
but I'm sure she was crying because I really do think she was on a mission to get the
Yeah.
truth. And I think it really pissed her off because I know how that feeling is. When someone's lying to you and you know they're lying and they just will not come clean. To me, that is the most frustrating when you know in your heart of hearts the truth
Yeah.
and they just continually lie to you.
Yeah. It's gonna trigger you.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd be freaking livid.
Oh, girl, that suitcase would be going flying right at his head. I'd be so pissed.
And people were saying something about the drinking. Like, even if she had a couple glasses of wine on the plane, I mean, I don't know what that means. But someone said, oh, well, Nicole Atkinson said she didn't. Dude, that was her best friend.
Yeah.
I mean, if I knew that my best friend was pregnant and she was killed and her life was on display, I don't think I would say, oh, yeah, she had a couple glasses of wine. Like, I don't know. I feel like they try to protect Shanann a lot. Everybody in her
Exactly.
orbit protects her from everything. And I don't even know if that is what she would necessarily want. But they protect her. They go out of their way. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. The drinking thing really bothers me too, because it's like, I don't know. I don't think wine is bad when I mean, if you're not a damn lush and you're sucking down bottles, now there's a problem.
Right.
But a couple of glasses here and there, I don't see anything wrong with it, especially if you've eaten and you're taking your prenatals and you're taking care of yourself. I
Yeah,
don't
you
think
can
there's-
have a glass of wine or two. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they think she was more intoxicated than I do at that level.
Yeah, I don't think she was intoxicated. I think she was pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
I think
For
she was
sure.
really I mean, that charge.
She
you
was
know what I
upset.
mean? And he's been acting weird.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? He's been acting very weird. They're in a sexless marriage. He's kind of, drawing himself away or detaching from her. North Carolina was an awkward situation. Vivint cameras and all the hits were weird.
She had already woken him up once out of a sleep to ask him who the other woman was because she was pissed that he wasn't paying attention to her. She said that in her text to Christina. She was like, I just went in there and he rejected me again. I asked him who's the other, or who is it, or what other girl does he have, or something along those lines. And he said no one. And she was pissed. He went back to
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
So she wasn't afraid to wake him up if she's mad about something. I wouldn't have been
Exactly.
either. I'm not saying
No.
she's wrong for that. I would have done the same exact thing. But if she already woke him up once about this acting different affair, blah, 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 imagine after she sees this receipt.
Oh, God.
And she's pretty
right?
much got it in her brain. And now she's going back and she's thinking back to North Carolina.
Yep.
Did we lose our chat?
It looks like it's disabled. Yeah, I can't see chat.
I disabled it?
Did you check and see? Did you disable it?
I slowed it down. No, I just enabled slow mode. Let me take. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was my bad. I clicked I disabled it and put it on slow mode. My bad.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't see chat moving. It just stopped and I refreshed and it was
So
gone.
sorry. I didn't mean to do it.
Whoopsie daisies.
We're back. We're back. But anyways, what was I saying?
No, but the drinking thing.
Oh, the
and then
drinking thing, yeah.
And him acting weird
Mhm.
and how she came home.
Yeah, I
and
just don't think she would have hesitated to confront him.
I think most of us women would not. Even men. I mean, we're human. You know what I mean? Especially if you're pregnant, you're about to have a child with him, a third child with him. You know, yeah, yes, I'd be pissed off.
Oh my God, especially when you're pregnant. I would be
Yeah.
devastated. I would be sick. I'm sure that she was so comfortable in her marriage with how attentive Chris was to her that this would never happen. Like he was safe. She thought
Yeah.
he was safe.
Yep.
And someone who would never do this. So it totally it took her, it hit her out of left field. It really did.
Yeah.
And
No, I fully
and she
agree.
was trying desperately to hang on. She was trying to get back to where they were, and that's what her letter was to him, was this like ditch effort, like I love you and I don't want to lose this, but it was too late.
It was way too late.
He was in
yeah.
too deep with Nikki, and it just
There was no
to
going
see
back.
that, God, it's so heartbreaking, because I wish that for them that she would have maybe realized a little bit sooner,
Yeah.
you know, things that she noticed at the end.
Well, like I said, I've said this many times in the past, and I'm not saying this to be a Shanann basher, but I would ask marriage is 100%, 100% commitment, compassion, and communication. You don't subject your spouse to things that they may or may not like. It's 100%. You got to be on board with certain things. And I mean, yeah, you may
Yes.
give up things.
Compromise, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to compromise some things. Chris wasn't, you know what I mean? To me, Chris wasn't really given that pathway to be himself.
No.
It was Shanann's way or no way. And to me, I don't think that's right. And that's where a marriage is going to fail. You know, it may take a while, but it's going to happen. You will more than likely. It's anthropology. You know, you're going to go through a divorce, especially when you can't raise your kids a certain way. You can't eat, sleep, and breathe a certain way. You're told to do, duties in the marriage. It's more of a contract than it is love, to me.
Mm-hmm. Peggy Sue Got Married just brought up an interesting point that I actually was going to bring up too. NK says Saturday night when they were at the Lazy Dog that he was very standoffish.
Yeah.
He wasn't really wanting to talk about the apartment. And I don't know if it's because maybe he was realizing how effing expensive it was. Because I know he was having a hard time finding something he could afford.
Yep.
So I don't know if he was kind of thinking, oh God, maybe I should just, reconnect and make this work or whatever, maybe he was on the fence. But if he was on the fence that Saturday, people are saying it was premeditated. So I don't believe in the premeditation. I don't. But welcome, little miss. If he was standoffish with NK, there was a reason.
Oh my God, yeah.
But he was standoffish, she said, at the restaurant, but then they went back to her apartment and romped before he went home.
Yeah.
But she said they weren't having sex as much. But was she telling the truth about that?
That's exactly what version do you believe of that? I mean, it's NK.
Funny you say that, because Amy Langham just put me on the spot with a super chat and said, Jay, what version of Chris Watts stories do you believe?
Oh my God.
Right when you said that popped up.
Oh my God, I was talking about Nicole Cassidy, because I don't, there's parts of me that want to believe her, but I just can't. You know what I mean? There's certain things that she said, and girl, I sat with those interviews for quite some time because I was editing. You know, so it's like I'm hearing this woman speaking, and it's like, okay, well, this time she's saying this, but in this interview, she's acting a little different. It's like the tale of two Nicoles and the tale of two Chris's, you know?
Yeah. Stella Bella says she never let him have any money. He had no say. Come on, she screamed over $58. I don't know if she was screaming over $58. I think she did give him a hard time about money. But I think she was more or less mad about who he spent the money on. What he was doing with that money.
The other thing too that I find so crazy is, okay, so he parks the Lexus in a certain parking spot at Denver International Airport. And she's like, thanks a lot. Now we don't have beach money.
Right,
like,
right.
Really?
He couldn't do anything right. He really couldn't.
Yeah, that man was walking on some serious eggshells. That's just my opinion. You know, I'm not trying to.
Oh my God! Right when you said that, Keelea said the same thing, walking on eggshells.
Oh my God!
Weird. This is weird.
But yeah, I mean, you're literally on FaceTime or doing videos on social media all the time for your marketing stuff, and your husband's coming home from work, working out in those oil fields, bringing the kids home. I mean, he didn't have any peace. None.
No, he really didn't.
It was constant
he couldn't be him. He didn't have any Chris time.
No.
If you think about it, his time was either working or the family, the girls.
Family. Yeah.
Laura, I'm not saying he couldn't assert control, but he didn't. He didn't for whatever reason.
I honestly think Chris was a little weak-minded, so he's not going to step up to Shanann. Hell no.
No, she was the dominant one, and she even admits that. I'm the dominant one in the family. And
I've tortured him. She said that in that video. It's on Netflix.
Tortured. Oh, that's in the documentary? Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's the video where she's like, and it's in the trailer of that documentary. She's like, I've tortured him, and I'm sitting there like, damn, girl.
I took him to colonoscopies. Now, I don't know anything about lupus, but does it have anything to do with your gastrointestinal system?
My mom had to have a virtual colonoscopy.
Really?
She's got cysts all over.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I always wondered about that. Ryan is going back to NK. He says, any footage of NK ever on door cam, did he shut it off the previous times NK visited? We have to remember that he made mention in the porch video that there's no cameras in the back.
Yep.
And he kind of threw that in there when they were like, well, what do you think happened? And he was like, well, I don't want to put anything out there, but there's no cameras in the back. And I don't know if someone came up and took her.
Yeah. Well, and when he was talking to Tammy Lee too about those little sensors on the windows and the basement got brought up, and it's almost like it was, to me, kind of a Freudian slip when he was like, it's easy to crawl in and out of those basement windows.
Yes. Yes. It's easy to get in and out of those basement windows. And then he went on to describe that there's no sensors on them. The only sensors are at the top of the stairs, at the door, the basement door.
Yeah. Yep.
And then, one thing I wanted to tell you that I haven't had a chance to tell you is I got an email from a viewer, and they go into great detail about the Amazon Fire Stick and how and how you can hook it up if you have Alexa. You can hook it up to your Wi-Fi through there. Like somehow, yes, there's something, and I haven't analyzed the whole email yet because it's really long. So I've got to reread it. I kind of skimmed over it, but yeah, it's interesting.
Oh my God. I want to know. And I know people say it's like Roku, but it's a stick. Roku's a box. Like, how does it work? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, but it'll be.
I got to see it. You know what I mean? I got to see how it works.
Thank you, Gina. Everybody wants Dave back.
Girl, Dave is stellar.
I know.
He is awesome.
We got to get with him on times because, he's on the other side of the world.
In the UK.
In Britain. He's in front of what is it called? What's the palace called? Buckingham.
Buckingham,
Yeah.
Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace.
And he's in front of Big Ben.
Luna Girl says, I have lupus. It shuts down any and all organs. Jeez.
Yeah, lupus is bad. It's not fun.
Do people that have lupus actually believe that Thrive helped? Look at Georgia Dog. No, he's in Australia.
No, he in Australia.
I thought he was from the UK. That's why I said it's just a joke.
I am curious about that though, because my mom is like more holistic as she's gotten older. She was on like prednisone and beta blockers. And
Yeah, I mean, if something
this
like
stuff.
Thrive helped that condition, you would really think.
More and more people with lupus would be turning to it for an
Absolutely.
alternative.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly why the damn company doesn't allow them to say specifically what their health conditions are. That's why she said, I suffered from so many health conditions, because they don't want to be held responsible, because the shit doesn't help
No,
lupus.
no.
And that's Thrive Lavelle covering their ass. You can't say, oh, I have lupus and it's better because of Thrive, because they don't want to be held accountable, because it doesn't help.
No.
It doesn't help. And lupus is painful. I mean, your
Oh,
mom has it.
sad.
You know.
There was one time when we were living in Italy, it was like 10 days of rain. And it's something with barometric pressure from my mom. Girl, when she got out of bed, her eyes were so sunken in, we had to take her to urgent care. Her nose was bleeding. She had a horrible flare up. It was bad. I thought she was dying. Like, no shit. She looked like she had jaundice.
So
Her
do
eyes
we
were-
know
it
from
was
any
weird.
of Shanann's videos if she had any flare-ups after Dave? I heard a lighter. If she had any flare-ups, because we heard about the one flare-up she had when they were at the beach, when she fell in love with him. She put her head on his lap and laid there the whole time riding home, and he had to pee, and because he didn't stop to go pee, he was the love of her life. We've all heard that story, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So has she had any flare-ups, like in her videos, like, oh, did she ever say, because I don't remember hearing it, if she did, that she said, oh, today I'm having a bad day? I don't think she ever said that, because Thrive helped. So
Yeah. I've never heard her say it. I haven't. Not going back through a lot of the videos.
I wondered that too, Crypto. Is lupus something that would be on an autopsy? I don't think it would, because it's very, very difficult to even diagnose.
It's hard to detect. I mean, my mom had so many blood tests done, and when she was finally pregnant with my sister, her second child, my dad was like telling this doctor, you need to test her blood. And when they did, it was SLE positive.
Really?
Yep. And I mean, she was years and years and years of struggling with headaches, migraines. She'd get nausea like really bad in the summer or winter time.
So was she able to go out in the sun? That's something that someone just mentioned, and I remember hearing that before.
She does go out in the sun, but she can't be in the sun for long periods of time, because her skin gets like splotchy, like really bad, and she'll burn quick.
So she wouldn't be going to like the beach.
No.
Well, no one's saying that lupus, you can see someone that has lupus. Of course, they might look okay on the outside, but she said that she was better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. And we know that Thrive is not a cure for lupus, because if that was a total like cure or made lupus that much better, it would
Then
be
my
in the
mom would be on
news.
it.
Yeah, like it would be
Yeah.
news. She was at the beach a lot. I mean, those trips were, besides New Orleans, were beach trips basically.
They're very beachy.
They were on a
always in the
boat.
sun.
They were, yeah.
Yep.
Keelea says her organs were perfect, and lupus affects your organs.
Yep, it does. And there's different people go through lupus differently. You know, not everybody has the same lupus. Lupus is very unique to everybody's body. So like my it's funny, my husband's sister, she has lupus, but it actually is like rheumatoid arthritis mixed with lupus, so that her doctor calls it rupus, and she has to get chemo. She does chemotherapy for hers. It's that bad. She had to walk with a cane at 30 years old. It's crazy.
Jeez. Angelina says it does help lupus to be in warm weather without humidity. And she has lupus. Are there different stages in lupus? That's a good question. Does it get worse like MS? Is it like progressively get worse, or do you just have it or not have it?
To me, from what I understand, it depends on how it affects you, because everybody's different with lupus. Like my mom doesn't have the rheumatoid arthritis. Hers is more like organs. Her liver's got a ton of cysts on it. She can't be out in the sun for so many amounts of time. Like she can only be in the sun for so many minutes, and then she has to go inside or have an umbrella over her because she does get splotchy. And her nose she'll get these like sores in her nose, and they'll start bleeding at random.
Yeah, I know everybody's different, but I mean, generally speaking, the symptoms are basically the same.
Yeah.
Generally. Georgia Dog said, I'm sure she felt better loaded with caffeine. He's probably right. I mean,
but when you read those ingredients, girl, I didn't know the Thrive ingredients were that packed with caffeine. I mean, that's like 20 espressos.
Oh yeah, that guarana is really strong.
Yeah. I have like 1 or 2 cups of coffee, and I can't sit still. I couldn't imagine having a Thrive patch.
Oh my gosh. I know, we should try it and go live and see what happens.
Oh my God. Y'all would think I'm on like some sort of drug or something. I mean, Thrive kind of sounds like a drug though.
So, I mean, it could have made her feel a little bit better, but I don't know. I just think that a lot of it was, the selling aspect. Just like the perfect family was the selling aspect.
Well, and I can't front Shanann for wanting that image. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that's a salesperson. It's just like any other sales job. I mean,
exactly.
You portray and you say certain things to attract people to buy your product. And she sold a perfect life, a happy family, a mom who had a lot of energy. And that was her selling point. I mean, I was in sales for a long time, and that was her selling point. She was an awesome salesperson.
Oh, she was.
But that doesn't mean that was the truth and that was their life. And I really think that her Thrive friends understand the persona that they have to put on to sell this product. It can't be an easy sell. I mean, it can't be that easy to sell this product to tons of people. Georgia Dog just commented to you.
Oh, did he? Let me see. Aw, love you too.
So
yeah,
you'd JD.
JD.
So, it can't be an easy sell. So you have to find your selling points. And who's your audience? Her audience were a bunch of moms.
Mm-hmm.
So what is going to be a selling point to a bunch of moms? Energy. Right?
Yes.
I vacuumed, I did laundry, I put it all away, I mopped the floors, I fed the girls, now they're down for a nap, and it's only 6 a.m. I mean, that's literally what she was selling, and no one can blame her. She sold, and she said the right things to her audience. However, I don't think she was as successful as people portray her to be in that company. I don't think she was making 80 grand a year.
Oh my God, no. Well, and like a lot of people have mentioned too, the Thrive trips, the Lovell trips, they're not all inclusive. Come on, y'all. You have to pay something.
Absolutely.
Right? There's no way they're just going to say, we will literally pick you up from your driveway, and once we do, everything is free.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like she probably had to pay for something, or like for your guest.
Yeah.
I can't see them paying for you and a guest. I just can't believe it was 100% paid for. And they were in such dire financial status that there's no way she was making that much money. And if she was bringing in that much money, she was loading up on product and putting it right back into that company.
Oh yeah, well look at the Christmas bags that she would do. She'd run over to Target and get personalized bags and do freebies with all the, the
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, the
and-
samples. That's right.
Yes. Yep. And I mean, she made those bags look nice, girl. I wanted a goodie bag. Like,
Right.
I mean, she would sit there and cut and color and do certain things with the bags. And I mean, Halloween, she did the same thing. Thanksgiving. I mean, she was doing like themed bags. Like that's a lot.
It is a lot. It is. Where's that comment at? Shane said, what about the company Lexus? Let's talk about the company Lexus.
Yes.
So this car allowance, I guess, that Thrive gives you. Dave, I can't find it. This car allowance they give you, you can pick these different cars and they give you X amount of dollars per month, right? Towards the vehicle. I think she got $800. Lexus, they're expensive vehicles. So that was probably the lease payment was the $800. You still got to insure that thing.
Yes.
You still have to pay for renewal of tags on that thing.
Yep.
Oh,
So
look,
it's you're still paying.
you're still paying. Yes. And, that's not a vehicle that a middle class family with 2 small children would buy. Her husband made 60 grand a year.
Yeah.
You don't drive a Lexus when you make 60 grand a year and you have 2 kids.
No.
You just don't.
No.
I'm sorry.
There's no way.
And
No.
a $2,800 a month car or house payment.
Gosh, and
$2,800 just for the mortgage.
that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I mean, I know it's Colorado, but my Lord, that's a lot of money, especially when you're new parents. You know what I mean? Like you just had baby Bella and you're moving into this new house and you have Cece. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money for a mortgage payment when your kids aren't, in elementary school or middle school. That's a lot to take on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if that's a good point, Bubbles. If you didn't make the monthly level in sales, you didn't get that $800. So
Yeah,
you would
that
have to pay
commission.
for it.
Yeah.
So you have to cough up that $800. So I could see where she was like, under this pressure because she didn't want her team to see her lose the car, or she didn't have the money to pay $800 for a car payment.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. Disclosure. I don't think that Shanann should have been murdered. So I'm not saying this for this reason, but
Isn't that sad? We have to say that every time.
girl, you got to say it every sentence you say.
Mm-hmm.
But the HOA thing, I call bullshit. I'm sorry. I call bullshit.
The what?
The HOA. I was sending the checks to the wrong
Oh
address.
yeah,
No, you
that's
weren't.
that's an
That's bullshit.
excuse. Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I mean, I live in a HOA community. I can go online and pay it, or yes, we could send it to this Omaha Mutual thing or whatever it is. It was our own little HOA thing, but you had 2 ways of payment. You're still going to see when it's deducted out, right? Don't people check the bank accounts?
Yeah. Well, he didn't, because he didn't even have the password to theirs.
He didn't have access to it.
Mm-mm. He didn't even have
access.
access. And it probably wasn't even worth it to him to even, fight
Yeah.
about it or whatever.
Exactly. But that's where, could there be a possibility that she kind of fell behind and some of them HOA checks went to that?
Well,
car?
for sure they fell behind because if you guys do read this discovery link for this initial confession, it is stated in there by Tammy Lee that Shanann had borrowed from Chris's 401k 5 months prior to the murders to catch up on 3 months of mortgage payments. She took $10K out of the 401k to catch up on 3 months of house payments, right? So she got caught up, and then at the time of the murders, they were, I think, 2 or 3 months behind then.
Oh my God.
So it was like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yes. Yeah.
It was robbing Peter to pay Paul. D.
We are actually
Who's
offering
approving
some
these
facts.
comments that are coming through? I
I don't know.
don't hit approve. Just hide it. Yeah, page 599 on Discovery. It's about 32 pages. And if you read through that, there's a lot of details. It's not just the confession.
No.
It's a lot of other things. So she had borrowed from the 401k, which was, like someone just mentioned in chat, going to cost you taxes at the end of the year.
Yep.
Hey, Lisa 1111. You have to pay taxes on that, and you have early penalties for taking it out. And then she did that to catch up, but then they were already behind again. So if she was making $80K a year, why weren't they able to keep up? Because like you said, Chris didn't even have a car.
No.
He had a work truck.
Yep.
They used the Lexus. $2,800 in a mortgage per month.
I mean, think about it. They didn't even own a car. Like, they didn't have their own car. The one was through Thrive, and one was a work vehicle.
Well, I guess they have to lease those Thrive vehicles in their own name, because if they don't make their bonus, they have to pay the payment. So if they don't make the payment, then it's on your credit.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But it's
Talk
just
about
weird
setting
to me.
someone up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, girl, I got excited. You remember just a couple weeks ago, I texted you and I was like, I made my final car payment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You know what, Luna girl? I agree with you. MLMs destroy families. You're right.
yes.
Because if that company really had that family in their best interest, they would not lease them out Lexuses and Teslas. I mean, what? Come on. What person in the middle class drives a Tesla?
Yeah. You don't really see those around a lot.
No.
Around the
It's
streets.
it's just very over the top.
It's very over the top. And I mean, you're going to like Cabo, St. Luca, Turks and Caicos. You're going to, like
It's a
all these-
fantasy life, and it's so
Yeah. If it was real, all of us would be doing it.
absolutely. It's just, I don't know. She got sucked in. She got
Yeah.
sucked in. But MLMs it is a crap career. It's not even a career. It's like once Thrive fizzles out, then what? She already had went from like those belly wraps, LuLaRoe clothes. I mean, this
What was it? The It Works or something like that?
it works. Yes, it works. And when they freaking go out of business and nobody wants the shit anymore and they realize it's a scam, then the next thing opens up.
Yeah.
And all these people jump on board. It's just one thing after another.
Yup.
Baba Booey. Fafa Fooey. Well, and she really fell right into the trap of these MLMs and the glitter that they, offer you, and you go to these convention centers and you feel very important, but really they're fucking people over.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, she did Unique too. What was Unique? Was that the fiber?
Isn't that makeup?
Was it the fiber eyelashes?
I was gonna say, isn't that makeup or something? Girl, I can't do any of these MLM stuff. I can't.
Matt Ryan said fluff, fluff, Louie. He must be a Howard Stern fan. They're cultish. They are cultish.
Yeah.
And man, people they get defensive of this stuff. Look
Yeah,
at
like
Georgia
that
Dog.
one-
He says it's Micah. How do you know? How do do you know? Oh, because he watches makeup tutorials. Oh, Bubbles is sitting in a LuLaRoe leggings and t-shirt.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, no. She said, are you singing that, or are you talking about Shanann? Oh, she did do 31 bags, too. That's right.
What's that?
Oh, the 31 bags. They were like totes and bags and purses.
Oh, my God.
And they had like patterns, and you could get them monogrammed.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Monogrammed, and like, I had a tote from there, yeah.
No, you didn't.
Some mother at the preschool was selling 31 bags.
Then
I bought myself like a bin. Yeah, I mean, they're nice totes. They're,
You're so cute. Yeah, but they're nice totes.
they are nice totes, but I wouldn't, like push it. Ryan
No.
McMahon says, let's talk about NK. We already did. Casey says hers aren't monogrammed, though. Oh, Jamie Lynn Edwards. Embezzlement. What?
Embezzlement.
Where'd that come from? Who? Oh, that's a good question, Dave. Who in chat is using Thrive? Put a one in chat if you are on Thrive. If you're thriving.
If you're thriving.
Oh, Roden and Fields. I always see those are more like the as seen on TV, though, aren't they?
Yeah, no, those are. I've got a friend that keeps hitting my messenger on that, and I don't.
Roden and
look at it.
Fields.
Yep. Yeah, she sells.
Okay, Sarah is thriving. Casey says no too.
No.
One over a year ago. Dave says 99. Put a 2 if you've ever tried it. Lori Williams says, is that how she built the first nice house? That's what I've heard. I feel like, oh, you know what else I uncovered yesterday?
What?
Wow, this is something pretty big. So I was reading through Discovery and I saw, remember Mark Jameson, which is Chris's friend?
His friend.
Yeah, the one he did the phone interview and he was like, Cindy called me and, I called Chris. I said, this shit's got to stop. He was like the mediator between like Chris and his mom when they weren't getting along or whatever.
Yeah.
And like Cindy called him and said, can you talk to Chris or whatever? So that guy, does everybody remember that guy? This is the weird thing. It wasn't in that phone call, but it was mentioned in Discovery that Mark Jameson mentioned the embezzlement from Dirty South because he used to work there. Mic drop.
What?
Mic drop.
He worked there?
He worked there.
What?
So when did Shanann meet Chris? After she stopped working there. You mean to tell me they never crossed paths?
Oh, they had
But they
to.
worked at the same place?
That's a very specific.
And
it's not like Walmart.
No, and I'm going to go back through and find that damn page and show you guys because I was like, what? Because he mentioned it. See?
Now I'm going to be going.
Kim just confirmed it. She said that's true.
Oh my God.
They had different
Why?
locations, Casey said.
Oh, they did?
But he heard.
It's not a company though, right?
I don't know how many locations did they have because he said that it was suspected that she did it, but they didn't have, and they couldn't prove who did it. So it was just like, let go. They only had 2 locations. Was he at the same location or not? Hey, Save Robbie. See, that was, oh my gosh, that was something. And I was like, what? Because if you listen to his interview, he never said anything about, I used to work with Shanann or anything about that.
I worked at the same company that she worked with, or the same people.
But it was in that Discovery. So I will try to find it. I'll have to go back in my history. But Yeah, I thought that was pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't know that. There's so many things to this case that you're like, wait a minute, what?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, JL, she was not coming home to Mr. King when she worked there. She was not coming home at night, he said.
Mm-mm.
You know what's really crazy is that, yeah, her ex-boss, which would have been Hisham, accused her of that.
Good one.
Yeah, Hisham Bedwan. But they were still friends because there's a video of hers where they're in the Steelers gear and they're getting ready to watch the game, and she goes live and she's like, Bella, say hi to Hisham.
Yep.
And he's in chat. And I think he was
Yes.
buying titty juice from her. That's what he called it. He called his Thrive titty juice or titty milk. No, what did he say? Titty juice.
Yeah, I think that's what he called it. It was titty juice.
Titty juice.
God.
Yeah. So they were friends after that. That's kind of what floors me. If he thought she stole, I mean, maybe she convinced him otherwise. But the timing of her getting ill was when right after she was accused of stealing money, because she was the bookkeeper office manager of both locations. So if Mark did work at the other location, she traveled back and forth. It's in that new book.
too.
Yeah, it's in that new book by that John Glatt, But Perfect Father. It says that she was running back and forth between the two stores. She had to have known this Mark. She had to have.
Just doesn't seem like a big company where you have like so many people
So
coming in and out.
yeah,
of
so
shops.
let's take it a step back now. Let's take a step back and let's cut Cindy some slack. Right? Chris's best friend, his whole life, since he was a little kid, tells her that he works for Dirty South. The owner thinks that Shanann embezzled all this money. Now, then Cindy meets Shanann and they go to this big ass house. Go back in our timeline video where we talk about the house, how big it was. And then the bitter conversation that took place between Cindy and Sandy at that house. Cindy was skeptical because she had probably already heard the accusations of embezzlement. So she probably went into this with a preconceived
like notion, like belief.
Well, of
or
course,
feeling.
Mark is coming to her, right? This kid she's known and is Chris's best friend and would obviously
Since they were
only be
little
looking
bitty.
out for Chris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then her son has been working. I mean, this is just truth and facts. Let's just put it all out there. Then he's been working at Ford, right? He goes to this NASCAR tech school. His dream is to be in the pit crew, work in the pit crew. He gets one interview. He never gets called back. This is all in this Perfect Father book. It's great. He never gets another interview. But he has to make some money. So he goes and works for Ford. So he saves up all this money before he meets Shanann. By the way, you're not muting when you do that. Oh, maybe you are for them. Never mind. It's the Zoom. Forget it. But what was I even saying? I was on.
You were talking about him getting a job at Ford.
Yeah, so he starts working at Ford, saving his money, preparing for his life. He meets Shanann, and they get, they get engaged, and then they have this engagement party. It's all money, 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 money. $10,000 wedding ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money. And I just, knowing how simple the Watts family are, just based on what I've heard and seen, I can tell they're just simple people. They're not showy. Even if they probably had $1 million, you'd probably never know it, because you can just tell that's the kind of people they are. But
I fully agree.
she sees her, and she said this, like, my son saved all this money, and thank you, Chrissy R.
Aw.
And then it was gone. It was gone. And she saw the hard work he put in. And she wanted the best for him, I'm sure. So, I mean, let's back off her a little bit. I think that the whole Mark thing kind of, puts things in a different perspective too. I mean, what mom wants to see her son get dragged into a relationship that might not be good for him? And I'm
Yeah,
not
exactly.
saying that maybe Chris wasn't good for her either. I don't know. He probably wasn't. She probably needed a man who would stand up to her, to be honest.
Yeah.
That might
No, I
knock her
totally
down
agree.
a notch, and they might, that might work. But he's also sold his Mustang, his dream car.
What happened to his car?
His dream car. He sold it. They couldn't afford it.
Oh my God.
So
See, that makes me sad.
he gave up a lot. He gave up a
Yeah.
lot. And then he didn't speak to his family for 2 years because she didn't want him to. 2 years. And then they heard from him when she got pregnant with Bella. I can't imagine what it was like for 2 years not to talk to your son. I mean, can
It's
you?
so sad.
I mean,
No, my
can
God,
can
no.
anybody here imagine that?
Oh, and I
'Cause-
mean, it's like you see your son, striving for his aspirations by going to that NASCAR Technical Institute and getting his own toolbox. I mean, he moves 2 hours away from home, and you see him making it on its own. And I mean, he's making pretty damn good money at Ford, and then everything's blown away. It's gone. As soon
Gone.
as he
All his
Yeah.
hard work is gone. Years of hard work gone in an instant.
Yeah.
And I want to address this. They didn't go to the wedding, so I imagine writing them off wasn't so hard. His family, his sister tried to reach out to make things right before the wedding so they could attend, and their calls weren't returned. Chris didn't return their calls. And it had been some time since they had spoken.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? I mean, are you going to go and make a scene? I don't know. I mean, it would be really hard. Like, you're just going to show up at your son's wedding even though you weren't invited and he won't answer your calls? Do you show up anyway?
Well, I mean, you're probably getting some looks. You know what I mean? I don't think I'd feel comfortable putting on a happy face if I knew pretty much everybody in that room knew some shit about me, or, you know what I mean? Like false stuff about me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I would feel inferior or intimidated to go if I was in their shoes, but that's just me.
Kim made a comment. She said, it's sad he left his job at Ford because she didn't think it was good enough. He went to NASCAR school to become a mechanic, and so he took a pay cut to work in the oil field. I always wondered why he left Ford.
I did too, because I mean, once you get to a
Lisa,
certain,
Lisa said you show up and you give your son a spanking.
you sure?
Oh,
That's
thank you,
funny.
Dave. I missed that. Oh, thank you, Dave. He said, you're a rock star, Miss J. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, my neighbors worked. Well, my neighbor, he worked for Ford for quite some time, and he even said it was really good money, like really, really good money. So when you hear about that, I mean, it takes a little bit to work yourself up to that. You
Yeah,
know
I
what
mean,
You
he
gotta work your way
transferred.
up.
He transferred from North Carolina to that Longmont Ford. And that was, what he was doing when he was living with the friends, the Dietzes, the Dieters. Let's just call them the Dieters. When he was
Dieter
living
family.
with the Dieter family for 6 months.
Yeah. And then to take a pay cut, and you have children. Why?
Yeah. Well, his insurance definitely was expensive because he was paying over $500 a month for health insurance.
Yeah.
And they had medical bills on top of that.
Yep.
Alex, I agree with you. I feel like they just didn't get along. And how could, you ever know that someone's going to be murdered? Like, you're not going to, and why would she go back and pretend that everything was hunky-dory so she could be, called out on the carpet for
Right.
being a liar? Because if she would have come out and said, oh my God, we've got along so well and we just loved her. I mean, if they were to lie about their relationship, don't you think that they would have been called out?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, they really have been honest about the relationship and how things went down. It was rocky. It just wasn't good. It wasn't good.
No.
But you know what it really gets me is that Shanann's parents said, "Oh God, you know, we thought she was happy." And you know, that's something that stood out to me a lot, because when they were in North Carolina, it was when she was really struggling. She was really sad.
Oh my God, that picture.
She was really sad. So for her
Yeah.
parents to think, she must have really done a good job hiding that in front of them when she was there. To be there for 6 weeks and them not know that she was upset, unless they're just lying. But I don't know why they would lie.
I mean, come on. I'm just going to say this. The picture, and I mean, maybe they didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, if
But
that's
the
what she
picture-
looked like, she didn't look good.
She didn't look good. And thousands of us people all across the world could see that she was broken.
Yeah.
And we're not even related to her.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see it. She looked defeated. She looked broken.
But is that the reason? But if they maybe knew something, is that the reason why didn't her mom call the police at 4:30 in the morning? Or was that the next day?
I think that was the next day. But then again, you go back to Nicole Atkinson's 911 call, and she says she kind of came with a bombshell. Yeah, remember?
Yes.
Her husband side bombed her, or whatever. I can't remember the right
Yes,
wording,
that he told her he wanted a separation a week ago.
That would have been when they were in North Carolina.
Yes. Yeah, the dad picked up Shanann from Nutgate. They had to know. For sure.
Yeah.
You're right. They had to know. I know. Peggy Sue got married. She did look really sad. That was really sad.
That was.
But can we learn from these things? You know, can we learn from, you know, all these different dynamics? I mean, can we learn from mother-in-law to daughter-in-law? Can we learn to be a little more, you know, considerate or, willing to compromise? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's so many lessons in this, because there's so many different dynamics that were all taking place at once for this to just explode like it did.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. Well, and I mean, the other thing that I didn't like that I saw in the Netflix documentary was when that gate was going down, and I saw what she was saying on Facebook about Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if you've got a problem, take it behind the scenes and address the person. Don't be putting that shit on social media and blasting your mother-in-law like she's garbage.
Yeah, they didn't get along. Let's just put it that way.
It's so sad.
It really
you know what
is.
I mean? Like,
It really
it's
is.
so sad.
It is all the way around. Hi, sweet crazy.
It is.
Because those kids were the ones that ultimately suffer.
Yeah.
You know, when things like that happen. But at least, I mean, I don't know what transpired for him to finally call Cindy when Shanann got pregnant. Maybe he
Yes.
convinced her, like, you know, we're having a baby now. Let's, try it again type thing. But I don't know what that conversation was like. But it's interesting that, when the child was on the way, that he did give them a call and they got back in touch. And the Watts even went out there and visited. And, I really feel like maybe they did try this new start and it just didn't, it fizzled out. That new start kind of just went back to the old ways. I don't know. But I think that we can learn from these mistakes, because all of these things add up to one thing. And I don't know. Someone brought up the PTSD again. Do you think that Chris Watts should have been made to see the recovery photos, since he caused so many innocent people to have PTSD from it? Well, no, because he's serving his sentence, and his sentence is to be in jail. Like, they can't waterboard you.
Is that illegal? Waterboarding.
Well, yeah. I mean, wouldn't that be what it was? Like, here, come here. You're going to sit in this room and you're going to look at these images. I mean,
No, that's waterboarding.
I'm not saying that he shouldn't see them, but I don't think he should be forced to see them. I don't think anybody should be forced like that.
No.
I mean, across the board. Because people got all up in arms, remember, about the him having photos of them in his cell.
Oh, yeah, in his cell.
Mm-hmm.
All the pictures that he had.
And they were like signing petitions to get him taken away from
Oh
him.
my god.
Like it's he has rights. Like he can have. It's just crazy to me.
It is. It's too much. You know what I mean? I mean, I see where some people are coming from. Like, they are the victims. You know what I mean? And he, in his second confession, he said what he said.
Mhm.
But at the same time, to me, it's I don't know. That's getting a little too much.
Erica said he should be forced to sit and eat nothing but pro bars.
Birthday cake, pro bars. Those sounded like
lemon
Lily's
lemon
favorite.
meringue. Oh my god, it's so pathetic. We know this, but
Right? All the Thrive stuff that they sell.
he'd probably be like freaked out if he saw how many videos on YouTube have his name in them.
Oh my god, all the pictures and thumbnails and
Dude, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Do you feel he has true remorse?
I don't know because I don't know the answers. I don't know what he did and what he didn't do.
I know.
That's a hard one for me.
Georgia Dog said he'd love it. Wait, what? What do you mean Mark Jameson is in here? Chrissy, why did you say that? What's going on? Why is there the big eyes? Did I miss something, Dre?
I think so because I'm not even watching chat either. I was just talking in a mic.
Is Mark Jameson in the chat? She said, yeah, look above. What?
I don't see one.
I do, but he retracted
Yeah.
his message. He didn't leave it there. Mark. He has like a Carolina profile pic. Hey Mark, we know you're in here, so do you want to call in on Zoom? I can give you the Zoom number. He said he's contacting lawyers? What?
What?
Mark, you could call in on Zoom. What's going on? Why is he mentioning a lawyer?
Said he's suing Watts. What?
Yeah, I think it's a fake. His name's not spelled right. Andrea, I think
Oh,
you're
it's not?
right. I think it's Jamieson. Jamie, like Jamieson, not Jameson. It's a troll.
Whiskey.
I think it's a troll. Good pick up, Andrea. Mark is like Chris's best friend from when he was a kid.
Yeah, they went to like elementary school together.
Georgia Dog, get him. Get him. Mark Jameson. It's Jamieson, dum dum. Whoever made that made it too quick. Hey, Kim, have you spoken to Mark?
He would be a good one to interview too.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you get Mark on an interview on the Reckoning channel? Yeah, good try. They spell his name wrong. Is it Oni?
Oh my god.
Every time something stupid happens, I always think it's Oni.
Right?
No, and you know what? Overall, I think our chat has been really like productive. She said he can't because of the military.
Oh, maybe he's like not stateside.
Why wouldn't he be able to talk to her because of the military?
I don't know. I mean, he could be deployed. He could be on a ship somewhere if he's Navy.
Oh. The video, yes. Lisa Marie, you can rewind. We played it.
Rewind.
Be kind and rewind. Has anyone seen the communication speech relationship deterioration and repair? Yeah, I think I have it memorized. But it
Yes,
is,
you do.
it's a self-fulfilling fulfilling prophecy. It's crazy.
And his audience. Never knew that until you read that book.
Look, Cynthia B must be behind. She just threw a 1 up. Don't tell them how to spell it. They'll come back again. Well, Kim said it's not him. Did she answer if she'd spoken to him or not?
No.
Oh, yeah, he can't. That's right. He's not
He said
able.
military.
Shoot. He would be a good one to talk to. He would have a lot of insight on Chris, like, as a youngster and
Yeah.
like from a peer's point of view.
Exactly. Like, what was he like as a friend to him
Mm-hmm.
growing up?
I mean, they must have been good buddies because they were still friends to this day, you know?
Yeah, that's what Cindy had said in that interview, that he still talks to, 30 some odd years later.
Oh, something else really quick that I saw in Discovery. I was flipping through, scrolling through all the love letters, the bikini girl, and
Oh, yes.
there was all these stupid letters, right?
The hearts. Yeah.
One letter he got was from a reporter, and in the letter it says, hey, my name's such and such. I can't remember his name. And he said, you went to school. We have a mutual friend. You went to school with my good buddy, da-da-da, whatever his name was. And I picked up on that and I was like, wait a minute. I wonder who that is. I've never heard that name. So I actually looked him up, and he's like a vlogger. I guess he went to school with Chris, high school with Chris. He's a vlogger. He's got like 200,000 followers on Facebook.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Uh-huh.
I
And I thought he would be a real interesting one to talk to too if he was. So this reporter knew this guy probably through his vlogging or something and dropped his name to try to get an interview with Chris is basically what it was. But I just wondered if him and this guy were really that close. He would probably be an interesting one to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, now people are talking about the Asperger's thing. It's just so much.
There's a lot.
Well, I mean, I'm excited to see what else comes out on the Reckoning channel.
Me too. I was both videos were very intriguing. Obviously the autopsy one was, to me, was very it's imperative to have something out like that.
Yeah.
Because it shows sides,
Well, and I think that, she did a really good job in explaining and, to go through those reenactments. I mean, you got to think, I mean, that was their grandkids too. That was the Watts grandkids too. So those reenactments can't be easy for them to see and talk about either.
No, my God, no.
Yeah. I don't know. She's very protective of her little boy. And I mean, she's being a mom. Maybe she's a little over the top with it, but she's just being a mom. Yeah, I don't know how they could watch any of it either. It's sad. Let's not bash people. I mean, come on. Have some freaking couth.
Oh my God, I just read that. And it's like so straight to the point. Like there's nothing in between. Like, why do you feel that way? Then?
Right, I know. It's just so generic. Like, get some substance.
Right?
Did you see how many people got hospitalized that they were using Thrive that they don't tell you about? I have no idea. I don't know where that would be printed.
I've never heard of that.
Wow, Gregory, that's a really harsh.
That's wrong.
Yeah, that's just sick. I'm sorry. You got to be hidden. That's just sick.
Yeah. I just read that as you were saying that.
G-dubs. Earlier, you took a poll about if we thought Chris was guilty of all charges. You said you were a 3 or didn't know for sure. Can you elaborate on why? God, it changes every day. I mean, there's so many different theories that go through my mind daily.
Well, and then when you're on Facebook and you see one of the groups post a comment or a post or something, then you start looking into their theory and then you're just back into it. You know what I mean? And then you're like, what if?
Yeah. And then you're scrolling through Discovery trying to find something and you come across, something you never saw before. It's
you go further into
never
the rabbit
ending.
hole.
It's never ending.
No.
But when I saw that Mark worked for Dirty South, I was a little floored with that.
I did not know that.
Amy says she wants my opinion. I get it. I'm just not ready to I can't give a solid theory because my theories change every day. Maybe every minute. I might see something tomorrow that makes me go, you know what? He's an ass. He's a monster. It changes every day.
Yep.
So I can't stick to a solid theory because then I'm going to be stuck to it. If I say it, then I'm stuck to it. And I am not stuck to any one way or the other about this case.
That's me.
I would like to hear more about the Oxy as well. I'm not clear on that whole part of this case. Are you?
No, I'm not. That one's I've seen so many theories. I can't wrap my head around
convoluted.
it.
Yeah. It's just too much. Like I would like for it to be cleared up. If somebody can clear that up, that would be great. I agree, Jason. Do you think the truth will ever come out? Janice says.
If we ever could get a trial.
I hope so. I think everybody would feel a lot better with a trial. Just seeing everything played out, Chris having a defense to defend his stance, seeing what the prosecution has as far as evidence. Another thing I saw when I was reading through the autopsies again was when the CBI came and picked up evidence. Now, I don't know if this means anything or not because I would need someone, skilled in this to tell me that. But they had all this evidence and the CBI came up to pick up evidence and there were swabs of, was it the girls' necks or faces from the autopsy? Maybe both.
Their necks, yeah.
And Shanann's as well. And they didn't take that evidence. So I don't know if that was purposely done. Obviously it was purposely done, but I don't know the reason for it.
Yeah.
Because we never heard anything about results of
the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing too is a lot of us genuine true crime people, we want to see justice. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that it's done
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of us is because there's so many questions and there are answers. And there's more questions coming up monthly or daily or weekly with this case.
Yep. And if, people think that there's somebody else involved. Hi, Jenny Mae. If people think there's somebody else involved, then don't you think that person should be brought to justice as well?
Yeah.
No matter what your theory is, the truth needs to be told. And I can't get past the fact, and I'm going to wrap it up because I know you're tight. Oh my God, I just looked at the clock. It's 11:11.
Oh my God, it's 9:11 here.
Weird.
Ooh, girl. It's 11:11.
It is. But, shit, I lost my train of thought again. My memory is going to crap.
Girl, it's this COVID stuff.
But I was saying no matter what your theory is, you should want the truth to come out as well. And
yes.
That's the one thing that I can't get past is in Kim's video, the fact that what he says lines up with the injuries when the autopsies weren't even done yet. Like, the autopsies weren't even done yet.
Yeah.
By Dave, and what he said he did and what happened lined up with the injuries in the autopsy. So that's a huge thing right there.
Yeah.
Because no
I
one's
totally-
ever explained the injuries, you know, like Bella's mouth and the bruises on the side, like why Shanann's neck was only bruised on one side. You know, we all pictured, just like in the Lifetime movie, him straddling her from the top, you know, looking at her face down with her head, you know, her looking at him. And his thumbs wouldn't have been just on the side. Like, you wouldn't
That side.
cock your hands to the side, you know. So that just, I don't know, that bothers me. Thank you, Shane. Shane. You guys need to go listen to Shane's case. Lisa, look at Lisa's super chat. 11.
I love it. Shane's video was great. I didn't even know that case either.
Me either. Forrest, so is mine. My B-Day is 11/11. Fellow Scorpio. I love it. She didn't deserve that. The kids didn't deserve it, right? What? No one deserved it.
No one deserves to be murdered.
Right. I mean, that's
point.
Jamie Lynn, that should go without saying, because if you got to preface that, there's something wrong with you. Because
Yeah.
everybody should have that mentality. You know?
Yeah.
No one
nobody
deserves to be murdered no matter what.
No.
I mean, even a guy who's beating the shit out of his wife doesn't deserve to be murdered.
No.
But would people in chat agree with that? Or would they be like, kill the son of a bitch?
I mean,
Where do you draw the
line?
but where do you draw the line? But where do you draw the line?
Exactly.
Oh, because a guy's physically abusive to his wife, like, oh yeah, kill the son of a bitch. But if a woman is emotionally abusive to her husband, she good to go? I'm just
Right?
saying. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Exactly.
Just throwing it out there.
And I love Shane's comment.
What do you say? Maybe some people
Maybe some.
this year. Some people. Shane, how's that election work going?
Oh God.
He said he's going to be working on the election. Get over to PA and make things right, Shane.
And Georgia and Arizona and Nevada.
I'm still curious of the mistress cell phone ping. Yes. Oh my gosh.
The ping, and Dave and you talked about this one, which my mind was like blown that night. The ping, the fact that she didn't clock in, but she clocked out. Ugh, my head.
I know.
can't.
I can't either. I did not know she didn't clock in for work. So what the hell? Where was she? And why was she in Frederick if she wasn't going to work?
Right? What was she doing?
I don't know, but if that's true, because I need to see that, like, in writing, that she did not clock in, or hear it, because I've never heard that, and it floors me that wouldn't be looked into if
Right?
that was the truth.
I mean,
like-
I'd be looking into it.
Yeah, if she didn't clock in and she pinged by his house and they didn't look into it, I think that's a little obvious. So I need to see this.
Yeah.
And I think Dave left because I think he's the one that had the proof. You don't have to buy the Discovery. Here.
It's on Reddit. There's a good link.
Yeah, there's
to it.
I have it right here, the table of contents with the link.
That one's perfect. I love that.
Yeah, this person breaks it down awesomely. Awesomely, is that a word?
It can be.
All right, here's the link, you guys. Bookmark it. It's going to be your encyclopedia to this case. I mean, everybody's comment is about a different theory. And that's why I
It's a
just
lot.
keep reading them and I'm like, okay, wait, what? What were we talking about?
Like, what? There's a lot of theories, though. There is. I mean, God, even Reddit. You'll see what someone says on chat, and then you'll go to Reddit, and there's another theory that feeds into
Oh
that
my
theory.
God, Reddit's insane. I can get to reading Reddit for a long time.
Yeah.
Wait, does anyone remember Sandy saying she felt the moment Shanann died and she heard Shanann's voice say,
Spear.
"I love you, Mom, and I'm sorry"? Why would she say I'm sorry? I don't remember her saying that.
I don't remember hearing her say that either. I just remember her saying it was like a spear into her forehead. She was on Dr. Phil, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember her saying like the words. I remember her saying a spear and it woke her up.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to address one more thing too. I was watching this interview with Sherilyn Cadle, who wrote that plagiarized book, Letters from Christopher, and she was talking. I'm sorry, but that's how people are gonna know it, right?
It's true. It's very true. Scott made a very good video on it.
So she was talking, it was really humorous, okay? And I have to say this because, she's an older woman and she was talking about the Battery song by Metallica. And clearly, Sherilyn Cadle has never listened to Metallica in her life. And if I, could share this clip, I would because it was funny. So she's like, oh, and the song Battery, it was like she was waiting. She was going to give the audience this big announcement about why NK sent him the Battery song. And she's like, that song Battery by Metallica, she was like, it's about killing the family.
Oh my God.
And the girls interviewing her went, and I was just sitting there and okay, I grew up on Metallica, right? I grew up Metallica in the 80s. The old Metallica when Battery.
Like old school.
Battery
Metallica.
is old Metallica.
Yeah, that's like 80s Metallica.
Yes, and it's totally not about killing the family. It has nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, the lyric in the song goes, "Cannot kill the family."
Cannot kill the family. Wasn't it about a bar or something?
It was about I think it was a bar or a road in San Francisco that they used to play at.
Yes, it was a location.
It was a location. It was either a street or a bar. So it had nothing to do with that. And all that woman had to do was put that song in a Google and she would have known that. So the lack of research from this lady is just astonishing to me.
No, yeah, it is.
Astonishing.
It totally is.
And music is interpreted by each person in their own way. And that's what I love about music is you can take a song and it might mean something to you and it might mean something totally different to someone else. I love that about music. And that song is aggressive and it's got a lot of power behind it and it's very hyped up. And I could see where he liked Metallica. He liked that metal music. He was into metal. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Metallica.
He had a tattoo of them.
Oh my God. So stupid. But
he loved
Metallica. Chris liked the new Metallica, but at any rate.
Not the old.
No, because he wasn't even born.
Yeah. I was raised on Metallica. Like my dad had the cassette tapes, girl.
Right. Yeah, Master of Puppets. But I don't know. Is it coincidental that those tanks are called batteries?
Batteries, yeah. I mean, they could have, him and Nicole or even himself could have shared that situation with these lyrics. You know what I mean? And
I mean, I see it both ways. Yeah. I see it as okay, yeah, could that have been some kind of sign or some kind of thing between them when she sent him that song? But he explained it away as she liked the song. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to me like a Metallica listener.
No, my God, no. I see her listening to indie music.
Yes. She was a meditator. She was into crystals and the Dead Sea Scrolls. That girl was not listening to Battery.
What you hear in Starbucks is what she's jamming to, y'all.
But why did she send him that song? See, and then I get down. See, I think
You get to
NK
that
wasn't
point.
involved, and then I think,
Girl, I don't know.
I mean, he worked on batteries. Maybe it was just an unlucky text. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't.
And the picture of the sunflowers, what was that?
That one bothers me the most, the sunflower.
Those
one.
exchanges that morning bother me, and now it bothers me even more to think that she wasn't at work.
Yeah.
Or did she forget to clock in? Was she really
Or
there?
was she late?
Or was she late?
Yeah. That's where Steve came up with the key thing.
Hmm.
Did he normally keep the key on the frame, but he had it in his pocket that day because she was there and she gave him back the key?
Because
And
he put
in
it
his pocket.
back up after he let the officers into the bathroom.
Yep.
Bubbles. Is that Michael Jackson's monkey? Bubbles. The theme of the song revolves around the San Francisco thrash scene of the 1980s. The most prominent club played by Metallica was the Old Waldorf, located at 444 Battery Street in downtown
That's what it was.
San Francisco. Thank you for Googling that, Bubbles. Bubbles the monkey, the chimp.
Bungles the monkey.
I mean, Cato could have done that, and it took, what, 2 minutes? 2 seconds?
Yeah.
I don't know. See, I go back and forth. So what I'm wondering too is how could NK, and I know I said this in the last video, but how could she clock out if she wasn't clocked in? I've worked on numerous different, systems for payroll and stuff, and I've never been able to actually clock out of something or log my time and not put an in time.
Exactly.
It would say like error, like you can't just put a clock out. It'll automatically pull it up. So if they did it on their phones or on their computers, it seems like there'd be like a default that would need that in and out, unless somebody did it for her. But if someone did it for her,
Then there'd show a clock in time.
it would show a clock in time. If they looked, did they look or did they go by her word?
Well, another question that I have too is how did the people in the office in Platteville, the big office, how did they clock in? Because when I worked, at certain offices, I would have to use my key card to clock in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how did they clock in at Anadarko?
Well,
in
and
those
she was a
days?
contractor, so she actually had to go by whoever she worked for, their rules, because she wasn't an Anadarko employee. So I would think contractors would have something on a phone, maybe.
Oh, that could be.
Because they have to account for their time. If they're not working, if they're contracted out, they still have to account for their time somehow. And I don't know. I don't think it would be on an Anadarko computer. That's just my thoughts, but I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. I didn't realize that. So if she went in late or if she wasn't there, why was she late? Why wasn't she there? And where was she?
Exactly.
Why wasn't she asked? Or was she asked and was it in redaction? Was it redacted? If so, why was it redacted? It just seems like that would be a question that they would ask her, since she's the mistress. If you didn't clock in at work, where are you?
Exactly.
Where were you?
And why is your phone pinging in Frederick?
Crypto says there are contractors who work in my office. They have a badge to get in our office and then log in on their own time system.
Oh, interesting.
I want to know why she was looking at Chris and Shanann so long before he even met him. We all want to know all these things.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we're all dying to know all these answers.
Oh, God. And then I listened to the whole thing with Troy again when I found that clip. When I was editing that video, putting
the
those
Fire
clips, I
Stick.
started, I couldn't turn it off. So I listened to Troy again and how odd it was that he went out to the site after. Like, why did he go out to Survey?
No, that's been another question I've seen a lot come up too, is why did he go back?
And then he was the one that told them that Chris took a poop out there. Yeah, he was like, oh, he said he had to go to this site and he had to do a number 2. It's like I'd never heard him say that before. These things that I catch, it's just like, oh my God, it's never ending.
And it's so weird because other cases that we've covered or you've looked into or watched shows about, it's like you pretty much get the gist of it. This one, all these weird oddities come in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
God, it drives me nuts. Drives me
Right?
nuts. But yeah, we've been on here for a long time.
I know. I gotta go eat den.
Oh my gosh, go eat your dinner.
Yeah,
It's almost.
we made pozole, girl.
What is
It is
that?
So good. It's like it's kind of like a Mexican recipe. Well, it's a Mexican recipe, but it's like a soup, and it's really spicy. It's like a chili with pork marinated. It's
Dang.
really good.
I need to come to Colorado.
Girl, I cook you some pozole.
Well, enjoy your dinner, Dre.
I will definitely. You guys enjoy your rest of your Saturday or your Sunday morning.
Yeah,
we got
wherever
the
you
UK.
are. Yeah, UK is like, they're in the
UK.
future.
That was for Dave.
Yeah, he left.
Oh, he did. That's right.
Oh, Jenny May, that's right. They did say something about them both going to the same gym, but I think that was from Cadle. So I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I still want to know what happened with the friend that's the nurse. I still, you know what? That's something I'm going to ask the Revelation channel or whatever to find out about.
Yeah.
If they talk to Chris, they should be able to find it. Yeah, exactly, Culkin. I'm not going to repeat it, but I agree.
Oh, I fully agree, Shane. Totally agree.
Thank
with
you
that one.
guys, the ones that were very, very respectful. Appreciate you guys. Oh, man. I'm just all over the place.
Girl, you know what's going to happen? We're going to get off here and we're both going to be hitting that discovery.
Oh, my God, I know. I'm already thinking about it. Like, I'm already like, okay, I gotta go. Bye.
Gotta go. I gotta go do my reading.
Okay, yeah, I gotta go read my book before bed.
It's called Wattsville Discovery.
Oh, my God. Oh my gosh. Okay, she said I talked to him, email and Zoom. Something I want to know about is the Dietzes. Gina and Charles Dietz. Can you get the scoop on them? Like, what happened? Why did their friendship end suddenly in 2017 after this girl was in the delivery room for both girls? And was her matron of honor. Why?
In January of 2017, that was it.
Yeah, what happened? Because this girl's a nurse. She's now a nurse practitioner. Look at Cynthia B's comment.
What?
What? But now she's a nurse practitioner, but she was a nurse. Oh, yeah, and they got Dieter from her.
Yeah.
They got Dieter, and I don't know if it was like their dog they couldn't keep, but their last name was Dietz, so it was Dieter. So I don't know if that was their dog or if they got a puppy. I don't know what the hell happened. But anyways, who's the Reckoner? Oh, dude, I'm losing my mind. She said she'll clarify with him. Cool, thanks. Hold on, there was one more thing I wanted to... Oh, the poop. There's a video of his poop.
Is there really?
Yeah, I should upload that as a episode. Watts poop.
What do you mean poop?
Oh, they got Dieter from them and they asked for him back when she passed away, but the R's didn't allow that.
What? Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
Mm.
that's sad.
So yeah, I did see that Gina was at the vigil and she was actually in the paper with her daughter. Someone
Yeah,
just
I
said
did see
Chris
that.
Watts is here, LOL. But yeah, she was at the memorial thing, but I know they cut off all contact in 2017. So I would imagine that was probably the last time they'd seen her.
Yeah. God, could you imagine turning on the news and seeing your friend on TV? Like, missing?
Yeah. I mean, but Shane, you got to remember, like, if that was a really close friend of Shanann's, she was there for the birth of both of her daughters. Yeah, they did take the dog. Frankie has the dog. Dieter was he was kind of skittish, wasn't he?
Those dogs are, though.
They
Those
are
little
kind of weird. Yeah, they
dachshunds.
are kind of weirdos.
They're kind of weird.
They bark and they're always like scared of things.
My grandma has 2 of them. And they're always skittish. I mean, they like run from you all the time. And even though you've been in their house for like an hour or two.
Yeah, they are kind of weird.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we need to get off here. Go eat your soup.
You're so
But yes, I want to know the Dietz's story. Look at Shane. I want to know the Dietz's story. No,
do
not the
too.
Hawaiian lady. I would like to know a little. Well, no, I don't really care about her, but I was going to say the Christina. She was in a picture with Shanann and Hisham and the whole Dirty South crew. Yeah, I do get that too. I reckon. I get they want it. Yeah, I mean, I would want my daughter's dog too. Because they did give it to her, so. And poor Dieter went through a lot.
Yeah, I feel bad for the dog.
Mm-hmm. Talk about trauma. Poor baby.
Yeah.
Yes, this will be staying up. So, all right. Well, thanks so much, Dre. And thank you,
Definitely.
chat. Thank you, mods.
Thank you for having me on. And yes, thanks guys for being here
Yeah.
and being with us.
Crazy topic. And it's, it hits a lot of people and they don't like it. So it's hard to talk about, but we're going to keep talking about it because we don't have answers.
It's made to the public.
Yep. It was about a venue that they played at. Oh, she's behind. She's talking about Battery. Casey. All right. Thanks, Kim. Thanks for the videos. That was great. So, all right. Look at dogs barking.
$10,000 wedding ring.
Oh my gosh. All right, Ninja. We'll cover that in the next stream.
Yes.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, Dre.
All righty.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.